Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew Built Conicals. You can trust Brew Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew Built at morebeer.com.
Home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, beer drinkers.
Get ready for an all-new experience in information exchange and beer culture.
Your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers from around the globe
right to your home.
You're not just listening to broadcasters, it's the Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
Really nice.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Brewing Network Sunday Live show, and we're happy to be with you today, especially Dr. Scott.
Oh, yes. I'm, really happy to be here.
I left Dr. Scott a mere 2 hours ago, it seems. It wasn't very long ago, and left him with my roommate.
Oh, it was more than 2 hours ago.
2.5, maybe?
About 1 o'clock. It's 5 now. 4 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, so Doc, though, was trying to enlighten my roommate on the do's and don'ts of good and bad homebrew.
We went through so many things. I really needed to purge my cellar.
Yeah.
There were some things there that, that's questionable.
Yeah.
Let's drink it anyway.
Yeah.
And we did. We pitched a lot of things. Like,
It's funny because early in the week, I tell Doc, listen, we're going to do this Decoction show. And he's like, okay, good. We need a solid information show. We've been partying for a couple of weeks, and he's like,
there he is.
He's like, hey, I could do Decoction in my sleep, man.
well, no, we had a whole day yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we brewed, and you're going to find out all about that. We did our own
12-hour brew.
Double decoction. Took us 12 hours, but mostly because we were screwing around and drinking and who knows what all day. So that was fun, and that's going to be sort of the basis of our discussion to get us started. And then, of course, as I posted just a couple of days ago, I hope you know, if you don't, the great John Palmer will be joining us to help us with our decoction discussion.
So cool.
It's very cool. We couldn't have thought of a better person to chime in here and help us do it. So I think that Doc figured that was his pass.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I said, hey, don't worry, John Palmer will be here to help us, he's like, sweet.
Well, we probably did the most difficult brew yesterday.
Yeah.
What was a 12-hour brew?
Yeah, it was more than that. We started at 9 and finished after 10. So it's like a 13-hour brew day.
If we didn't have people we had barbecue going, we had other things going.
Yeah. We did it the fun way,
and you said it was the fun way.
I mean, we figured, listen, if we're going to do all the work of decoction, we might as well have some fun in between.
And all that was really, really mellow.
Yeah.
It just went and it did, and it was not any hassles.
We only had one major screw up, which we fixed easily. We'll talk about the water problem.
I was thinking the melting aluminum.
Okay, 2 major issues.
Okay. right.
We'll talk all about that when we get into the brew, but it really was a lot of fun, and it's going to help us kickstart things. So if you have questions about how to do decoction mashes, then get them ready. Of course, you can join Daniela in the chat room, and she'll answer, or rather take all your questions so that we can answer them. Or you could also call 888-401-BEER. I almost gave out this number on the FM show.
I heard
today.
it. It was hilarious.
It's giving out my studio line here. People to call into the FM
And
show.
Dr. Scott said, see you at the real show.
Yeah, Doc called into my other show too, and said, "You'll see tonight at your real show." He makes a good point.
Oh, we sat there, me and Chad. Well, let's go sit, have a couple of beers. Let's call in.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I said, he's going to shut us down quick.
Yeah, I did. I had to get you off before the dump button started getting hit. You never know.
Let's shut me down quick.
But I gotta say, I was proud of you for the bags rant today. Some of the listeners in the chat room heard it too. I'm really proud of you. We've been putting on a fight against the bags for 2.5 years now?
Yeah, the bag problem drives me nuts. Don't even get started again.
No, but that was a good rant. Proud of you.
Are the
right.
people in the chat room with me, or just said, "What an idiot for ranting too long about that"?
They're with you.
That's good.
Cool.
I think we got Sean on the phone. Sean, what's happening?
Hey,
What's the word, man?
I gotta tell you, man, I feel weird right now having 16 ounces of that energy beer drink you gave me,
Yeah.
and then the country club. I'm out of my freaking mind right now.
If you,
I don't know whether I'm coming and going.
How big is your head?
Daniela just told me that I sounded angry on the show. See what that stuff does to you?
Yeah, we did a taste test today on the FM show. I'm getting off topic here just for a sec. We did a taste test on the FM show, and I wanted to try out these energy drinks. They're like Red Bull, but they're half malt.
Which is disgusting
beverage.
in itself.
They're terrible, and we just thought we'd try them. I figure if we're going to bash them, we better know what we're talking about. And they didn't get us wired like an energy drink does. They just made us feel real strange. Like,
That's so funny.
that was at the break. Sean just looks at me and goes, "I feel funny."
People pay for that.
That's right. It's like a weird drug.
Well, I'm out here at Barclays right now, about to go in and get a beer. I think they got Country Club on draft, so we're going to go grab one.
I thought you were going to be here.
Doc, you sound you're out of your mind.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yes.
That's going to be a great show on Decoction.
Yes.
Highly technical. Yeah, it was funny. We did a blind taste test of bad beers, and there was one craft beer in there, but Sean's favorite beer of all of them was Country Club malt liquor. That's what he chose in a blind tasting.
Nice, Sean. Nice.
Yeah. All right, I got to move on, Sean.
Sean, quick question though. When are you going to post your IPA recipe on our forum?
Oh, they've been.
I know. I got to do that.
Can you do that before or after Europe?
You know what? I'll do it. I got a pack tonight to leave tomorrow, and I will do it tonight.
You rock, man.
So that means pretty much talk to Nico.
Otherwise, it's free beers for everybody.
Oh,
yeah. Woo-hoo. Free
All
beers,
right.
then it is.
Be careful.
Hey, Sean, have a good time in Italy, and don't forget to bring gifts.
Always, Daniela. Always.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the FM show. Stay tuned for the archive if you didn't hear it. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, please get your questions ready for John Palmer and Dr. Scott on decoction mashing. And we'll be doing an A to Z, tell you why we're going to do it, why you would be doing a decoction mash, what the benefits are, what the downfalls are. And I think that John Palmer might even have a couple ideas of how to get around it if you don't really want to do it. And I'm sure that Doc has some tricks up his sleeve, too. So we'll talk all about that just a little bit later on in the show, so hang on. A couple of announcements that I need to make. The store has been replenished. I did talk about it last week, but I also put up a new color of shirts. Red shirts are there. Everybody who's seen them out here loves them, thinks that they're great. So if you've been waiting to buy a shirt, now's the time to do it. Also, and this is cool, Doctoberfest shirts are now available.
No way.
Yeah, you can now get Doctoberfest shirts. Now those actually aren't in our store. You need to go to this address, and Daniela's going to post it in the chat room. It's a weird address, but you can buy Doctoberfest 2006 T-shirts, courtesy of a friend of the show, John Foster. He made them and brought them to us, and then set up one of these web stores that you can go get them. You can go to 28609.spreadshirt.com. Sorry. 28609.spreadshirt.com. brewingNetwork.com. Danielle is posting it in the chat room, and we will also put the link up on the forum as soon as the show's over.
It's a nice shirt. I wore it for 3 days.
They really are cool shirts.
Yeah.
I want one too.
Yeah. There's a lady, on there he has long sleeve shirts, he has t-shirts both in black and white, and he has a ladies shirt.
Well, he has more than we do.
He has more than we do, and it's all Doctoberfest 2006 shirts.
But
That's awesome.
You guys have a lot of red shirts that are very cool looking.
The red shirts are real cool.
You want to buy one, Dr. Scott?
Yeah, I do.
$30. $30 just
sell
for you.
one to Doc. That's terrible.
I know.
All right, I'll do it.
I'll give you one.
You can
No,
have one.
the red is it's like this deep yellow. It's very cool.
Yeah, the text on there. They're cool shirts. So just check out the Brewing Network store. Hit the store button right on our homepage. You can do that.
It's a good red.
Also, the John Palmer podcast is available. After you hear the man today and you realize how much the guy actually knows, you're going to want to go and check that out. You can purchase that on our store for a measly $2.50.
Measly.
The last thing I want to say is to remind you all that the Brewing Network's Conical Christmas has been announced. We did it last week during Doctoberfest.
The double conical Christmas.
Yay.
That's right, and that's courtesy of HCA Industries and also Beer, and More Beer. They're each giving away a giant Beer, and More Beer
That means
conical
two.
fermenter. That's
Two.
One
Two.
for two people, right?
Two
you say it.
conicals.
Thank
Two conicals.
Doc's confusing me. His drunkenness is permeating into my headphones.
It's two conicals.
That's right. And it is the first official Brewing Network Conical Christmas.
2 chances to win.
And we're going to start that the first Sunday in November. So tune in.
Very cool.
I do need to make a clarification. People thought last week that I was saying the only people that can win are live listeners, and that's not true. What I was meaning to say is that you have to listen to the show to win. And there will be, I think the way it's going to work is there'll be a winner for live listeners and a winner for podcast listeners. But the key is you're going to need to tune in or listen to the show one way or the other every week beginning in November.
Exactly.
The same thing you all do anyway. I'm just, just telling you, if you miss a week, you're going to miss a chance to win yourself a conical, a free conical courtesy of HCA. You can go to HCAIND.com or, of course, morebeer.com, and those are our two sponsors for the Brewing Network's Conical Christmas. I will take care of you podcasters, fear not. I did get a couple of emails, and you folks were concerned that I wasn't going to let you in on the winnings, but you're in. Don't you worry. I'll be coming up with a plan for you folks, too.
I really want to participate, too.
We'll get ourselves a conical.
We need one.
I will participate.
So it's going to be good fun. You guys are going to want to tune in for all that. And I think that those are all of my announcements.
What about the video, though?
Video's on its way. Yeah.
I have to answer questions here in
There's
the
so
chat
many
room.
people want to see that.
Look, I was told by my guy, the guy who did the film, he said, before we did it, he said, I can put that sucker out in 2 days, no big deal. And, then at the end of the show on Sunday, he tells me Thursday. And then on Thursday, he calls me and says, I'll be there tomorrow with a rough cut. Which he was. He showed up Friday with a rough cut, which means it's not done. So, I don't know, early this week, what can I say? It's out of my hands. I'm no video editor, and all I can do, look, the guy's working for free. He's really good at what he does. He's a professional, and he's donating his time to do this movie. So, I do apologize. All I did was relay what I was told. I was told a couple of days. In fact, I did it I was looking the guy in the face during the show. I said it to you guys. I'm looking at the guy, and I say, how long? And he says, a couple of days. And you all heard it here, and, I don't know. What am I going to do? Call the guy out when he calls and says, it's not ready? I'm going to say, hey, get to work for free?
Not. It's coming. And it's worth waiting for it.
3-4 weeks.
It'll be good. It'll be cool. It'll be ready this week. I just don't know when this week, but it'll be ready. So that's the movie. The other movies, hang in there. The guy's got 3 movies on his plate now. He's got Doctoberfest, he's got the Oktoberfest Beer School on the bus, and he's got the GABF.
And the GABF is a ton of work because we have we delivered 12 to 14 hours of footage.
Footage
Oh,
that
but
he's
there's
got
so
to
many
edit.
segments. It's like cut.
Yeah. To make it's got to be, it's got to have continuity. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be. So give the guy a break. Hang in there. They'll be coming up.
And one last question that was just asked here. Do you have any plans for a new 1 hour boil?
I do have plans, but I'm not gonna tell you what's happening. Well, cause what's gonna happen, because basically, all these things, the industry's really busy right now. I'm gonna say that. Everybody is growing in craft beer, and these are the people I do the 1 hour boils with, and and even for homebrewers, there are folks that are, just finishing competition season, and everyone's just really busy. So if I went ahead and told you the names and then they didn't happen on time, people missed their appointments, all of these things happen. And so you see what I mean? I don't want to get all the emails that say, what happened to this guy? What happened to that guy? But
there will be more episodes.
What I can tell you is that I'm talking to some really great people that you've all wanted me to get on the show before and couldn't ever really do the show because of the time, because it's on Sundays and also because they're not in our part of the country. But I've got some really great guests lined up for the 1 Hour Boils. So hang in there. We're going to put out as many as we can. Sometimes there'll be 2 up in 1 week. Sometimes there's going to be a month in between. There's nothing I can do to, I just got to keep booking and hoping people can make it. All right. So in the meantime, enjoy yourself some John Palmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You guys are either sharing the download, or not enough of you are going to check it out. Compared to what people who download our free products, apparently $2.50 it's tough to come by out there.
Yeah, it looks like. What is it? I mean,
a pint of beer.
Our listenership is so huge, and then it's not going up when you have to pay for the stuff. Yeah. It's not even a 10th. It's not even a 20th. It's not even 100 of the people who usually listen to our show.
It happens. What are you going to do?
Well,
I think we need the people that will actually pay for it to goad the other people into doing it.
Well, I bought my copy, so it's not me.
I'll tell you what. Nobody needs to be goaded. If you want it, it's there. Check it out. And I'll tell you what. You won't be disappointed. That's all I'm going to say about that.
From the reviews we've got, it's all good.
It's a good thing. Okay, so there you go. That's our announcements for the day. You all know what time it is now.
Oh my God!
You've got mail.
Kick-ass.
It's time for a little feedback. Did I mention John Palmer's doing the show with us today?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is so cool.
Got an email from the Pope.
No way.
The anonymous Pope Jamil.
We've missed that.
Yeah. Justin, you no-talent hack. Yada, yada, he says. Starts out, what the F is up with Doc? Are we finally seeing his true nature? I guess we had to add ass-sniffing to his list. That banjo-picking, goat-loving, dope-smoking, ass-sniffing, table-banging, overly sentimental, crying, drunk freak. Now I know why he wanted to stick his head under my robes after I farted. He kept asking me to give him a Pope's biscuity oven. He is one sick F. Of course, referring to Roger from Drake's being in here and putting his ass in Dr. Scott's face.
You know what? He did it over and over.
The whole show.
Yeah. I was sitting in one place, and it's just an ass in my face.
Where was he going to go? He couldn't even run.
I couldn't even run.
So there you go. Pope Jamil finally taking me off of his ripping list for 1 week anyway and giving it to Doc.
Thanks.
Another one.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Justin and the rest of the Brewcasters gang. Wow, what a great show. Let me start by saying this. Justin, you suck. I like the rest of you guys, however. You're cool. I've been listening to your podcast for about a year, and I've really enjoyed the show. I've learned something and wasted a lot of time. Thanks. I am a brewer, and I've been brewing for over a year now. I really love it. I can always have a great beer on hand. He goes on to say, but here is my beer emergency. This is the good part, all right? I am in the Air Force. I teach weapons on air-based defense, and I'm currently stationed in South Korea. I'll be here for a year. That creates 2 problems for me. 1, I can't brew because all my equipment is in the U.S. with my wife. 2, beer in Korea seriously sucks. Imagine a place where they don't sell 12-packs, or even a 6-pack. Imagine that the only beer you can buy is a Coors or Bud Light. I can get some Heineken on base, he says, but I'm pretty much screwed if I want to drink any good dark beer. He says, I miss barley wine. Sob, sob. I miss dark ales. Help me. This is not right. This is beer abuse. He says, put my info out there and tell people to send me some beer. I'm a proud man, but I don't mind begging. Holy crap, if I don't get some real beer soon, I might have to buy some Bud Light. Is that what you want? How can I fight the North Koreans without a good barley wine or IPA? Quotation, sobs, and whimpering. I miss Dogfish Head. I miss IPAs. Daniela, please make Justin do this. If he refuses, cut him off. Sorry, Justin, but extreme measures and all that. Here's the deal. If someone does not send me some real beer, communism will win in Korea, possibly even the world. Do you want to have to learn Korean? Do you want the show format to change to the Kim Jong-il is better than you hour? Fight for your country, people. I need beer. One last sob and whimper.
Wow.
And then he gives me his address, and if people email me and want to send him some beer in South Korea,
you better do that.
I'll email you back with his address.
Let's email him a bottle.
Not such a bad idea.
Poor guy.
Come on, I'll send him a bottle.
I'm wondering if it's even allowed.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to put your address down. You just send it.
That's true. Just wonder if it's going to make it through customs, though. You know what I mean, like South Korean.
Well,
customs.
At least you can give it a try. I'll send him a bottle of good.
You know what? If we just mass mail it.
Yeah.
I think he would get what he wants, at least a little something.
Like a couple of them would make it through, right?
Right. But
so here's a guy.
Budweiser and a Soapy.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Here's a guy working for the U.S. military overseas. And from any country, it's not even about the U.S. here. You're out of your home, you're stationed somewhere else, and you can't get what we consider your common everyday things, the luxuries of home. And I think it is cool to on occasion try to bring it to folks that are away from home like this who are doing a service. So send me an email, justin@thebrewingnetwork.com, and I will give you. His name is Jack. And I'll give you Jack's address over there in South Korea. And I don't know. If you guys want, we can send him some beer. It's all up to you. I just told him I'd read it because I definitely thought it was interesting.
Definitely.
Well,
and I relate to it.
The really crazy thing is that can go from state to state. You move to another state, it's like, I can't get beer on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm wigged. Yeah. And the whole thing just mushrooms into something like, I don't want to live here anymore.
Yeah. Never mind being in another country.
Right.
Entirely. So there you go. Help a brother out. Send me an email. Here's a suggestion that came through. Several months ago, he says, you mentioned doing a troubleshooting episode. I've done some search on the web about this topic, but really would like to hear your thoughts and feelings. You guys are great. Keep up the good work. And that's from Eric. We are going to do a troubleshooting episode. It's in the works. I got to get the right guests lined up to help us do it. And basically, it'll be an episode to help you figure out, what went wrong with your beers. So what we'll probably do is
say that again.
Yeah, we'll probably put a line of my beers up on the table, and then everyone can figure out, what went wrong.
What went wrong?
And it's sort of to help people troubleshoot your process and the whole thing. So I will be putting together a show like that. So hang in there. It's coming. We got lots of time. We do this every week. So the last one, and a lot of people sent me an email about this particular thing, so I'm going to play it for you guys. But it's Justin, talent hack. But with an awesome job and girl and life, you're an asshat.
And by the way.
Yeah. He says, anyhow, he wants to know if I've heard of this group. And it's a song by a group called Psycho Stick. It's Psycho Stick Beer is the song. I'll play you just a short version of it. I have heard of this song. Lots of people have emailed it to me. I've not played it on the show, I don't think. If I did, it was a long time ago because I did find this MP3, early this year, I think, and I might have put it on. Here, I'll just play you the first verse and through the chorus, and then I'll play the whole thing at the break. But I figured I had to put it out there since so many people have been emailing it to me. So this is a band called Psycho Stick.
Great.
And it's called Beer.
I like beer cause it is good. I drink beer because I should. If there was a song to sing, I sing it and beer you bring. I drink beer when I am sad, cause the beer it makes me glad. Now there's nothing left to say, so let's go drink beer. Beer is good, beer is good, beer is good. It's up, beer is good, beer is good, beer is good. Let's go drink some beer.
It's rock and roll, right?
No, that's heavy metal.
Yeah.
You know what? I think Sven and Push could do it much better. Oh, yeah.
It tastes real crappy, but cold beer will make me happy. When I throw up on the floor, I can go and drink some more. They say beer will make me dumb. It aren't so good with pizza. Now that we have drunk some beer, let's go drive a car. Beer is good. Beer is good. Beer is good.
All right.
spin and push.
I think they could do better.
Oh, yeah.
I'll play the whole thing at the break, which we're just about to take, as a matter of fact.
It's not bad.
No, it's actually, I kind of like it. You know?
I kept my headphones on.
Daniela, you didn't like it?
I totally dig it. I'm German and we love that stuff.
Okay.
We like our heavy metal.
Yeah, you guys got Rammstein over there. You do like your heavy metal. There you go. So it's coming up at the break. You can hear the entire thing. Hang in there, because when we come back, John Palmer's going to get on the phone with us, and we're going to start our discussion on decoction mashing. We'll also keep having a couple beers ourselves and see if we can get Doc to speak in incomplete sentences very, very shortly here.
I won't be having any more beer.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
I like beer 'cause it is good. I drink beer because I should. If there was a song to sing, I sing it and beer you bring. I drink beer when I am sad, 'cause the beer, it makes me glad. Now there's nothing left to say, so let's go drink beer. Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! It's good! Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! Let's go drink some beer! It tastes real crappy, but cold beer will make me happy. When I throw up on the floor, I can go and drink some more. They say beer will make me dumb. It aren't so good with pizza. Now that we have drunk some beer, let's go drive a car. Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! It's good! Beer is good! Beer is good! Beer is good! Let's go drink some beer! Dude, I think you had enough. Let's go drink some beer! I am drunk. Drunk as me. I am drunk. Whee! I am drunk. Drunk as me. I am drunk. Whee! I am drunk. Drunk as me. I am,
Touch the fountain. I was hoping you might let me have some. Touch the fountain. I was hoping you might let me have some. Touch the fountain.
Bring it in there.
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 Touch the fountain. I was hoping you might let me have some. Touch the fountain.
Bring it in there.
Touch the fountain. Touch the fountain. Touch the fountain.
Bring it in there.
Touch the fountain. Touch the fountain.
And now back to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
All right, folks. You're tuned into the Brewcast. You're here with the Brewcasters. And this is the Decoction Show on the Brewing Network. John Palmer is joining us now so that we can get right into it. And like I said, we're going to use Dr. Scott and I's experiment yesterday, which, by the way, we're hoping is going to turn into a fantastic beer.
Oh, I think it has every element of being a great beer.
It was, by the looks of it, it's going to be real good. And we'll start talking about that in just a second. John Palmer, you're on with us. How are you?
John who?
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Oh, awesome.
We're doing great. Dr. Scott's doing better than most of us.
Yeah, happy Doctoberfest.
Thank you, man.
It's Doctoberfest Part 2. We're just it's like the month of, it's a month-long celebration.
I told you, it's Doctoberfest all month.
Now, John Palmer, of course, is the author of the book that both Dr. Scott and I are just huge fans of.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I know a lot of you have read it out there.
Thank
It's How to Brew, and you can go to howtobrew.com if you don't know about this book, although I'm confident that pretty much all of you do. And he does have a whole section about different mash techniques, and one of those techniques, of course, is decoction mashing. And so he agreed to come on and help us do that discussion, and I appreciate that, John.
Oh, happy to be here. This is fun.
Especially because it was on short notice. I called him a few days ago and said, hey, we're going to throw together this decoction show. What do you think? And John's like, yeah, I don't have anything to do.
Well, no, I've told you so long that John is such a cool guy.
Well, and he's dedicated to homebrewers. It's not just this show. I'll tell you what. You send John Palmer an email, I guarantee you get an email back.
And what I like about John, and hi John, by the way, he explains things that I can even understand them.
No way.
Yes.
And me too, for that matter. So there you go. Enough kissing your ass, John.
Yeah, really.
We can keep doing it.
Okay. Well, now that you know we like you, we can make fun of you for the rest of the show.
Yeah, I took time out of my busy schedule of building closets and home improvement and such. And,
yeah? Is that what you're doing today? You're building your son a closet or something, aren't you?
Yeah. They work with the 2x4s and such on there.
Yeah. Well, now you get to hang out and have a beer with us, so that's a little better.
Sure do.
Send us your questions to the chat room. You can join Daniela in there. Just hit the chat now button right on the home page, or call us up at 888-401-BEER. You're not going to be able to Skype us for this segment because I got John on the Skype, as long as that's working. So we'll just keep it at that. Now, I was hoping that Doc was going to come in all fully outlined and ready to go, but I'm going to go ahead and I think kick things off using our brew as an example for yesterday, and I'm sure that you're ready to chime right in as we go.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that there's a few misconceptions about decoction mashing and what the purpose is and whether or not it's too difficult to do and all of that, and I'm hoping that we can kind of clear some of those up, because as we went through the process yesterday, I realized that it is more work as far as physical work goes and time spent, but it's not more difficult in terms of being sort of an intermediate brewer, that you couldn't do it yourself.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it more difficult?
To comprehend and to understand? No.
From my point of view, no.
Yeah.
Your point of view, I brought you into my brew session. It's like, I made you do most of the work.
I did the
You did the lion's share.
I got blisters.
Yes, and he did get burned. He got the whole thing. But was it?
But it wasn't. It took me 2 sentences to comprehend what was happening.
Right.
I asked a few questions. Why are we doing this and why are we doing that? And a simple answer explains it all. And that's what I'm hoping to clear up here.
And I think when we pitched the first decoction back into the main mash, you went, oh.
Yeah.
That's why.
And then you can understand why.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll talk about that. John Palmer, since you wrote, sort of this segment on decoction, you had to go through each mash technique. Would you be able to give us a brief definition of what decoction mashing is? And even if you want to read it from the book, that's fine by me.
Well, decoction mashing is, of course, an old technique. It's from 200, 300 years ago, when malts weren't as well modified as they are today. So you take a heavy portion of the grain, very little liquid in it, out of the mash. You put it in a separate vessel, you heat it up, and you let it rest for a little bit at conversion temperature. But then you bring it up to a boil, and you boil it for 10 or 15 minutes. And by boiling it, you're helping to, really cook those starches, make them gelatinized, make them accessible to enzymes, and then you put it back in the main mash where most of your enzymes are. And that addition of heat helps, bring it up to the next rest level or close to it. You can calculate that out. and you do that 2 or 3 times. Now, your final decoction, depending if you're doing a 1, 2, or 3 decoction mash, is the one that you actually boil for a good, 20 to 30 minutes. Sources say.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for these really malty Maillard reactions to take place, and that you've already broken down the starches, you've converted most of your starches, you're getting better conversion out of your mash because you're really cooking them, and you're also lowering your mash pH a little bit by 1/10 in doing this boiling.
Okay.
But you're also forming Maillard reactions, which are giving some of the very intense malty flavors to the beer.
Okay. Now, is that similar to sort of a more of a caramelization of the flavor?
Yeah, what everybody commonly thinks of as caramelization is really Maillard reactions.
Okay.
Never try to pronounce that, but
Me neither.
Those browning.
Just not good.
Well, because you could say Maillard or Maillard or right. It's the way it's spelled.
I always say Maillard.
You say Maillard. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Mallard.
He's the doctor, right?
That's right.
And I'm right.
Yeah. but that fancy word is essentially a caramelization of the word.
It's the browning of sugars. When you cook toast.
Yes.
When you cook bread, you get that crusty flavor. It changes that sugar flavor to a more toasty brown.
Okay.
Different kind of thing. You're not going to get in a different kind of reaction.
Okay.
Right. A Maillard reaction is the combination, or the chemical combination of a sugar and a protein, or an amino acid. So it's a different reaction than a caramelization reaction. Caramelization doesn't happen until you get up to temperatures like 230 F, 350 F. For
oh, no
maltose.
kidding.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, so you're really not seeing that.
Okay.
And even your extended wort boils, high gravity boil that they're doing for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
No caramelization.
Okay.
Maillards. All Maillards.
So it's a misconception. It sounds like we call it caramelization for ease of use because it's a term that we understand, but it's not actually what's happening.
Right. It's a browning reaction. These browning reactions are forming the toasty flavors. They're forming some of the treacle flavors. They're forming some molasses flavors. They're forming all kinds of different flavors can be formed by Maillard reactions. And what we're looking for in a decoction mash are the toasty, bready, really malty flavors to come out.
Okay. Okay, so before we go on, and Doc, I'm gonna ask you and both of you, what kind of beers then are we looking for these flavors so that we would want to be doing a decoction mash?
Well, there's a few different kinds of beers that you want to do a decoction mash. One, you want to break up a lot of proteins, like a hef, or you want to brown the beers, a Dunkel, Doppelbock like we did yesterday.
Yeah.
But you don't want to put so much dark roasted grains in that you could get a lot of roasty flavors.
Okay, so color but without the flavor that normally comes with that color.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's another way of getting the dark beer without doing that.
Okay. Oh, now that makes sense. And as we go, I'm gonna talk about how I saw that happening yesterday as we were doing ours.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Oh yeah. Now you've already answered one question that I had come through about what are Maillard reactions. So I'm glad that you did that for us. Now,
I'm psychic.
Yeah. Cool.
So cool.
There are beers that you do decoction mashes though, where you're not looking for those colors. Like let's say Gordon Biersch, for example. He likes to decoction mash for some of his lighter beers, right? And that's the protein part you're talking about?
Well, there's a lot of different malts out there.
Okay.
And most of the American malts, Canadian malts are very well modified, so you're not going to need to do the decoction mash. Okay. There's some European, what they call continental malts, that aren't so well modified. And the decoction is just one more extension of the malting process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's break that down into malts that you need to decoct and beers that you want to decoct for.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's two different things. One's that need, and one you want to brew for style.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So break them down.
Your lower modified malts. If you're familiar with the Kolbach index or your soluble to total nitrogen ratio in a malt analysis sheet, your what you hear about as your traditional continental Pilsner malts or your Czech malts,
Moravian.
Moravian Pilsner malts. These are malts that are what we'd say are less modified. They're 36% soluble to total protein ratio. And whereas, say, a modern pale ale malt or a modern, a base malt from, say, Cargill or anyone, you're talking 42%, 45% modification.
John, let's talk about that. That's not necessarily bad.
Right.
A lot of people think that like less modified malts are bad. Depending on what you're going to do with them in the final process, you overcome what they are.
Yeah, it's simply it comes down to the way that you prepare that malt for mashing and brewing. It's just like cooking. When if you've got stone ground wheat versus bag of flour, it's the way it's prepared, the way it comes to you, the form it comes to you in, and what you do with it, and when you're cooking with it. So decoction's the same way. Decoction is a method for utilizing less modified malts.
Okay.
And in doing so, you generate a lot of these Maillard reactions that give you these very intense malty flavors that we've come to expect in some of these, in these old world beer styles.
Okay.
That you can kind of get from other ways.
Yeah, if you do,
but not exactly the same.
Not quite the same, but if you can brew a double bock with modern, highly modified malts using aromatic malt, using melanoid malt. There's a lot of malts that have been specifically processed to generate some of these same kinds of flavors. You won't get the exact same thing, but it's close.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. Now let's start talking.
The original question was, but
that's all right. Well, I want to back up now because now that we know, why we're going to do some of this decoction mashing, I want to start into the what. And one of the things I want to say kind of clearly that that I hadn't really taken the time to realize in the beginning was decoction mashing is, you need to know first and foremost, it's a form of step mashing. So it's not a single temperature type of mash. What you're doing is actually taking your mash to different temperatures in order to break down different enzymes. So in that sense, by nature, it's a step mash. You're going to need to bring your mash to certain temperatures, leave it there for a set amount of time, bring it to another temperature, and decoction is a form of doing that. Rather than just having your mash all in the vessel and you just leave it right there in the vessel and bring it up to each step, you're taking a portion of the mash out of that vessel. I guess a third is about the general rule?
Generally, yes.
Okay. John, do you agree with that, or is there a different calculation for how much of the mash you take out when you do your decoction portion?
Well, generally 30%.
30, okay.
That's traditional.
Okay.
It also, we have calculations now that where we approximate the amount of heat content in, X amount, and it's so much volume of mash, and when you boil it, you get so much heat content, you add it back. But traditionally that works out to about a third.
Okay. So what you have here, and now I'll start using our brew yesterday because I think it's easier if we have a specific example. And of course, it's adapted to what beer you're making, but it's generally the same procedure. So Dr. Scott and I started with, for one, we brewed 20 gallons of beer yesterday, and because it's a big Doppelbock too, we started with over 50 pounds of grain.
I think we had 65 pounds of beer.
Okay,
65 pounds of grain.
It was a lot of grain, and so here we are with our 65 pounds of grain, and that all goes into your mash tun. It goes into one vessel to begin with, and this is the beginning of our mash. So we dough in, and what temperature did we dough in to begin with?
We doughed in about, so we could have about 100, 105.
Okay, so nice and low.
Nice and low.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to overshoot at that point.
Okay.
Generally, with a decoction mash, you want to have a very liquidy mash. I didn't know how much extra volume I'd have in our mash tun, volume-wise, after 64 pounds of grain.
Because we had so much grain.
We had so much grain. I've never put that much grain into the system, so I did not know.
So what was our water-to-grain ratio?
I bet it was about 1.6.
Okay.
Quarts per pound.
Okay.
So we were still up there.
Yeah.
More than I usually do, but with a decoction, they want to have
some more liquid.
2 to 3 quarts.
Oh, okay.
So, for our international listeners, that's about 3.2 to 3.5 liters per kilogram.
Thank you. And do you agree with Doc there, John, that in general for a decoction mash, you would want it to be a higher water to grain ratio?
Yeah, you do. I mean, what you're doing when you do a higher liquid ratio is you're getting more of your enzymes out of the grain and into the liquid.
Okay.
So when you pull your decoction, you're leaving your enzymes behind.
Right in the liquid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't denature your enzymes when you do the boil.
Okay. Now that's a key part right there, folks. So when we start to talk about what you're taking from your mash tun in order to do your decoction in a separate vessel, you're leaving as much of the liquid behind as you can. Because as John is saying, those are your enzymes that you want to keep in there.
You want to pull out the thick portion, which actually Justin was very good about doing that.
Essentially the grains.
Yeah. So you don't want to be too thick, otherwise it'll just burn there in the pot.
We burned very little.
We did have a little burning on the bottom of our vessel,
but very, very little.
Yeah.
And we pulled thick off the whole thing.
Well, and that's where the work comes in. I'll start talking about that here when we talk about it, because burning is something that you need to be concerned with when doing a decoction. I'll tell you, it's a big pain in the ass keeping it from burning.
Justin,
yeah. So here's what happened. So like I said, we started with our 65 pounds of grain in one vessel, and we were at a nice low temperature, like Doc said. And you rest it at that temperature. How long were we resting it at?
Probably about half an hour, and then we went up to easily 121.
Is there a name for that rest that we did? Well, because I know there's a protein rest.
Well, that would be the acid rest, the phytase rest.
Okay.
But there's really no phytase left at that point.
I see.
Because when they kiln it, they've killed all that off.
Okay. So it's more a term that we use, but it doesn't.
It's go low, go slow.
Okay.
Yeah. You get some amylase action at those temperatures too.
Okay.
Amylase.
I was trying to teach Justin about that last night.
My eyes were glazing over.
It's a big range. It's not like at 148 we're hitting the only amylase. It's a big range. They're doing it from here to here.
Yeah.
And all the way up. And if we didn't hit our temperature, that's okay because it's still working. It's just not the ultimate temperature for it.
Yeah. Okay.
What other malts did you have in there besides base malt?
We had 50 pounds of Pilsner.
That's our base, yeah.
Mostly all Pilsner. Kara Munich. We had Munich.
Yeah.
Carapils. And some little bit of dark crystal.
Oh, okay.
What about our chocolate? Was that our dark crystal?
And I put the chocolate in at the end.
We'll talk about that. We'll get to that. But there was a tiny bit of chocolate malt that we added, which Doc had a great technique for this, and I want to make sure we get that in later.
Okay. Good.
So we'll throw it. That was just a very small portion of our grain bill that was used for color, but without getting too much of the flavor from a chocolate grain.
Well, we should talk about the color with even the first decoction.
Yeah, and we will definitely do that. So here we had our first rest. Before we did our decoction, we brought it up to another rest. We brought it up to, you said 120, right?
You pull the decoction, and there's.
We did pull our decoction.
Yeah, we pulled the decoction, and we don't want to bring it right up to boiling.
Okay.
I want to rest it at an enzyme level where it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then once we boil it, we're going to kill all those enzymes off.
Okay.
So I want to work the enzymes, break down the starches, then boil it.
Okay.
Exactly, and then pull it back into the main mash.
Okay, so here now is what I want to go back to the step mashing portion of it, because this is part of the step mash. We went ahead and we pulled out, like Dr. Scott said, the thick part of our mash, and put it into a separate vessel. And this was our first decoction. And by the way, we did a double decoction. So, you can do it there. You can do a single, you can do a double, you could do a triple. I guess you could do a quadruple if you want. I don't, but we decided to do a double decoction. So we took, the thick part of the mash, which was mostly grains and enough liquid to, I think there was just a little bit of liquid over the grains, so that we had enough and that we could bring it to a boil. We put it into a separate vessel. And we began to heat it up. And we were looking to heat it to 120 at that point, like Dr. Scott was saying, for another rest. Now,
that was the protein. I wanted to bring it up to 140 at that point.
Okay. Where was your 120 that you?
That was the main mash was at 120.
I gotcha.
We started at 120.
John, am I drunk or is Doc drunk? I can't figure out.
We're
what's
at the
happening.
protein rest. I started. I doughed in at 100.
Mm-hmm.
I brought everything back up to about 120 at a protein rest.
That's what I thought.
That's when we started pulling the decoction off.
Okay.
Once we pulled the decoction off, then we had a third of it. We brought it up to amylase level.
Which was?
It was about 145 or so. We left it at that point for a little while, then brought it all the way up to boiling.
Right.
Brought it back into the main mash. The main mash is
how long did you boil it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to. How long did we leave it boil?
20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why are we leaving it boiling for 15 minutes?
We want to break up a lot of the starch, basically to make it more available to the amylase enzymes back in the main mash.
John, do you want to tackle that too? Same thing. Why are we boiling it? Is it
that's
same
exactly
answer?
what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we put it back in the main mash. Not only does that boiling 1/3 bring the main mash back up,
right?
But it also gives it all these available starches that we've broken down.
Yeah.
For the amylase enzymes and we brought it up to about a 145, a low amylase.
Yeah.
At that point, to break down more sugar, more starches into sugars.
Okay. Now I want to jump in here. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say, at 145, you're favoring your beta amylase, which is your maltose, your most fermentable sugar rest. So then, here's where you're driving your wort to be very fermentable.
Okay. So it's a very important rest that we're doing right there at our 140, 145.
Yeah.
Get fermentables. So here's where in the brew process I had to jump in and ask Doc some questions because I didn't ask questions beforehand. I just went in there and started brewing. And here's where I started to realize that we're doing a step mash. We just happen to be adding a couple extra steps to doing a step mash. And by the way, sometimes I ask Dr. Scott a question and I think I must be asking in a separate language because he'll tell me no. And then, but then answer exactly like what I had just said. So I think, there's this weird communication thing. So, you use your decoction to bring your whole mash, your main mash,
back
up to the next step. Alright? And that's the part where I thought that I had figured out what was happening. I said that to Doc. He told me no, and then told me that's exactly what was happening.
It does two things.
Okay.
We're not only, using the extra heat to bring the main mash back up as we add our decoction back into the main mash. We're also giving them broken down starches that are broken down into smaller pieces to throw at our enzymes in the main mash so they can work at it.
Okay. Yeah. So here we are with our boiling decoction, and we now put it back into our main mash, partly in order to raise the main mash now up to our next step, which was the low 140s. Go ahead.
Let me just throw in one thing here. To echo what Dr. Scott's saying, when you're breaking up the starches in a more accessible form for the enzyme, that's what malt modification is all about. Malt modification is the enzymatic breakdown during the malting process of the starches. You have a tightly wound protein carbohydrate matrix where these things are like. Well, in the book, I liken them to crates full of bags of jelly beans. But so during malting, these things are released. They're made accessible. When you boil them, it's like taking a sledgehammer to those boxes of jelly beans. I mean, you're just smashing the crap out of them.
Okay.
And breaking them into fine, smaller pieces. They're really accessible for the enzymes now, and so decoction mashing takes a less modified malt, one that's where the jelly beans or the carbohydrates are really not very accessible to the enzymes, and really breaks them apart. So now they are accessible. You can, and with today's highly modified malts, and in the 42 to 45% ones, all that's been done during malting. So when you do a single infusion mash, it's presenting the same kind of starch to the enzymes. So I don't know what your particular malt modification was that you were working with yesterday.
Yeah.
But traditionally, decoction mashing was designed to break down these starches to make them accessible to the enzymes.
Okay. Because at that point, malting in general was sort of deficient in making enzymes available?
Yeah, I mean, they had, they didn't have the labs, basically. They didn't have the consistency, throughout the malting floor. So you would have, within a particular batch of malt, you'd have some that was highly modified, some that was very unmodified, practically.
Okay.
You'd have a lot more variation. So, in general, the average modification was much lower then. They didn't have, they didn't have the laboratories to understand how much modification had taken place.
Yeah.
They were kind of eyeballing it. And so, they just learned through experience that, the beer works better, the brewing process works better if we decoct.
Yeah, what John said in his book, too, is malting and mashing are the same thing. And you're just when you're mashing, you're just taking the malting process to the next level. And whatever they left off, you got to take up the slack.
Okay.
And
that's right.
When we used all European malts. We used Pilsner, German Pilsner, German Munich, German everything. And a lot of times they're less modified than these 2-rows American or Canadian malts that you can get. And more than that, I just want to run Justin through a decoction mash.
Yeah.
And it's not so horrible, is it?
No, it was fine. It was fun.
It's a long process.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad.
Yeah. No, it was a piece of cake. So, at this, I'll go through the work part of it, which wasn't the piece of cake. I mean, it did take us 13 hours. But as far as understanding it and figuring out what we're doing, that was a piece of cake. So, here we are now. We've broken down the enzymes that John's talking about. And we're putting our first decoction back into the main mash. And here is where I noticed for the first time the color extraction that we're getting. The one part about doing a decoction where you're extracting more color, a deeper color for your beer. It was amazing, the difference.
When I was running through this recipe through ProMash, the SRM was only about 12.
Okay.
That's not a Doppelbock to me.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping we would get out of this double decoction that we were going to get a lot of darker color.
Yeah.
A lot of darker Maillard reaction.
And we did.
And oh my God, yes.
So as we're pouring our first decoction back into the main mash, and by the way, they're the exact same grains.
You just pulled one off the other, and
it was like ebony and ivory. Like you could really see. I mean, they weren't black, but it was very different. That how much darker and the grains were that we had just boiled. How much darker they were from the main mash, and you could I had to mix it in, and it almost looked like a swirly cone.
When we put the decoction back into the main mash looked like all Pilsner malt, and the decoction looked like all Munich malt.
Yeah,
and we had done anything resembling different, except for running it through the decoction.
Right.
Yeah. Those are the Maillard reactions, the browning reactions.
Yeah. And it was just so stark.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. It was great, and it was really. And I'll tell you, for somebody like me who needs to really see it happening and have it in front of them in a very plain way, you can see it. There is nothing theoretical about the Maillard reactions at that point.
Right.
It was very real, and you could tell the difference in the grains. And if for no other reason, I think you should do a decoction mash.
It wasn't
to just see.
It wasn't just a little bit either.
Yeah, no, it was.
I can kind of see that. It was like, wow, look at that. Is that the same grain?
And it was cool. It was really cool. And knowing, I mean, I know what a Doppelbock's supposed to look like. It's one of my favorite beers. So now here I got to see the process of it happening. So now we've dumped our decoction back into our main mash, and hopefully got our main mash up to the temperature that we wanted, which was in the low 140s. What did we hit exactly?
I wanted to hit about 142 at that point with the first rest.
Yeah.
And we did.
And John, what are we looking for at 142? Why are we resting there?
Well, that's the bottom end of your beta amylase activity range. Now, you've got in a single infusion temperature mash, you're waiting to get your starches gelatinized, because once they're gelatinized, they're soluble, and that generally doesn't happen until about 145 C or F. Is it 50? Yeah. 145 F, or I'm trying to think of the C.
They can convert it.
55.
Okay.
Anyway.
You're thinking to production here.
Yeah. And so, but because you've done the decoctions, you've broken down a lot of those starches. You've made them soluble. So when you're resting at the 140 F, 145 F range, you really, you're getting full activity out of your beta amylase, making that wort. You're getting all the maltose produced that can be produced at that point.
Okay.
We basically boiled the first decoction.
Yeah.
We busted up all the starch. We open it up and we put it back into the main mash.
Yeah.
And we've given, like I said, the beta amylase everything to work with.
Okay.
When we do an infusion mash, we have to wait till those things like slowly break up, so the beta amylase at 145 can work its job. We've done that for it.
Okay.
And we throw them food.
Okay.
At that point, and the beta amylase is going at it.
Now let me ask this. If we were doing a single decoction, after that first decoction and we brought it to a boil, would we put it into our main mash and bring that mash up to the temperature we want to do our normal mash at, say the low 150s, and that would have been that? We do our normal mash from this point forward?
You could do it that way.
We could have done that.
Right.
So I just want you to know at home that, when you decide on how many steps of mash you're doing, you could have been done with the first, you got the Maillard reactions to happen the first time. Now you get up to your normal mash temp, say 154, and you go on about your business as if you're doing just a regular mash.
Well,
you could have done that.
There's a lot of things we're doing when we're doing a decoction, more than just decocting.
Yeah.
We're breaking up big starch bundles, and making them available for the lower enzymes.
Right. So we could be done, though, at that point.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We, however, kept right on going. We only brought it... Go ahead, John.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say something. What was it?
We just broke it up into like two parts.
Yeah.
You can do the decoction. If you're going to do a single decoction, you can do it anywhere in the process you like. I mean, we're homebrewers, but traditionally, you either do a 3, a 2, or a single. The 3 is called a dry Maisverfahren.
Do you know how to say that, Daniela? It's like a dry Maisverfahren. It's like is it in your book, John?
Yeah, the word's in the book. I just
Drei.
Yeah,
so that's a number 3.
Sure, because it's a double. Yeah, or 3. Yeah, sorry, because it's a triple decoction.
Dreifache.
Yeah.
That's 3 times.
That's what Fache is times?
That's times, Fache, Dreifache.
Say it again, Justin.
The middle word is Maisch, which is Maisch.
Maisch, yeah. Dreifache Maisch.
Say it slower.
Dreifache Maisch.
Can you get that? You want to try it, John? You want to give it a go, John?
I see a sound bite going on here.
Dreifache Maisch.
There you go.
Dreifache Maisch.
All right, it's your turn, John.
No. Mein Zung ist Französisch.
It's cutting out. I think he just called me an asshole. That's all. I think that's all I got.
Sound French to me.
Okay, go on. So that's what it's called, though.
Yeah, you have a 3-stage, a 2-stage, and a single stage. If you're going to do a single stage, traditionally, I mean, I'm talking, Continental, I'm talking Randy Mosher's book, I'm talking, New Brewing Lager Beer and so on, Greg Noonan.
Yeah.
You're doing your single decoction as a mash out step. You've already done your conversion. You have 150, 155F, 65C. Now you're going to take that and heat it up to 70C or 160.
Okay.
F.
You're pulling your decoction then at the high end.
Pulling your decoction after you've done your main conversion.
Okay, good.
That's a 40%, roughly 40% of your mash, and a little more liquidy. And you're going to boil that for a good 20, 30 minutes because this is where you're developing all your Maillards. That's for single. If you're doing a double, then you don't have to get all your color and Maillards out of that final step. You can get half of it in the boost from protein rest to conversion rest, and then do another bunch in the conversion rest to mash out rest. Step.
Okay.
And traditionally, you're doing 3 to go from protein or from dough in to protein to conversion to mash out. Double is from protein to conversion and conversion to mash out. Single is from conversion to mash out.
You lost me.
Right?
Yeah, you lost me for 2 reasons. For one, you're cutting out, and 2, you're doing it short and sweet, and I'm never good with that. So try it once more, and hopefully we can get a clear connection here.
Triple decoction. You're going from a dough in to a protein rest.
120.
And that's their first one.
Okay.
From protein rest to conversion rest, that's your second.
Low 40s.
Yep. And then from conversion to mash out is your third decoction, and that one you're going up to 160, 170.
Okay. Conversion to mash out was the last one it cut out.
Was that a triple?
That's a triple.
That's a triple. Okay.
Now,
go ahead. Go ahead.
As far as conversion goes, you had stopped at like 140. I would say there's room for interpretation there on exactly where you place that conversion rest temperature.
Okay.
Whether it's 140, 150, but in terms of 3 steps, you're going from go in to protein to conversion to mash out. For a double decoction, you're starting at protein and you're going from protein decoct to conversion decoct, mash out, done.
Okay.
That's what we did. That's what we did yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. And in a single decoction, you're going from conversion at 150-ish to mash out. Okay. And you're boiling for a half hour there with that decoction. It's a 40% of the mash. It's a more liquid ratio, gooier, soupier ratio, because you're not worried about the enzymes now. You want lots of browning, Maillard reactions.
So basically, less number of decoctions, the greater percentage. So when we were doing like a three decoction, it's like 30%.
30, and 40.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So you're pulling less with less decoctions. At 3 decoctions, you're pulling 30%.
Less mash.
Right. Yeah. Two decoctions, you're pulling 40%.
Yeah. I think the reason for the ratios is because you're not. It's a matter of being concerned about the enzymes and not being concerned about the enzymes.
Right.
30%, you're trying to conserve your enzymes in the mash.
Okay.
You're pulling a really thick decoction because you want to leave the enzymes behind.
Okay.
When you're going from conversion to mash out, you don't care.
Right.
So you can pull 40% and it can be soupy.
Okay.
Yeah, because most of your enzymes are gone.
You've already done it. You've converted.
Yeah, I mean, you've converted. You're done.
Okay.
So right now, the single decoction, you're going for Maillard browning reactions.
Okay. Now, I know that there are plenty of you out there that are following every word of this, and I am too. I get what he's saying, but I do just want to just say, for a second, for those of you who are new brewers, it's actually really simple. The difference between being concerned with enzymatic activity and with conversion, it's very simple. If you've done a single step mash, a single infusion, which means you just mash at one temperature, all you're concerned about there is conversion. Now, lots of other stuff happens. I don't mean that enzymatic activity doesn't happen. I just mean that we don't talk about it. We don't care about it. It's happening. We know it's there, and it's fine. And we're also doing our conversion all at the same time. So it's really not. All we're saying here is when you're doing different steps, then you're talking about enzymatic activity. So it's not a complicated thing for those of you who are like me and listen to this and go, what the hell? It's just that typically all you do is convert. And convert obviously means you make your fermentable sugars, in a nutshell. It means you make your fermentable sugars so that you can have beer and drink it. And usually that's all you're dealing with your single step, and you just go to town with it. And all we're talking about here with the other steps is enzymatic activity that you don't even need to know exactly what's happening. You just need to know that it's happening. And so just to dumb it for a sec, I felt the need to do that because I feel out of place if I don't make it dumb. Yeah. I feel like I don't have any value. Well, if I don't act stupid.
I showed Justin it's not as complicated as it needs to be yesterday.
It's not.
It was a 12-hour brew.
Yes.
But all being aside, you know what? It was not that complicated.
Yeah.
Justin, that's your value to the show, is that you show everybody that if you can understand it, anybody can understand it.
Yes.
And you know what? Yesterday he really did. He understood it. He was scooping it out, and he really knew.
I hate you, John.
When it's going on.
Yeah. Actually, this is fantastic about John, because John's one of my favorite people to talk with and hang out with too, and mostly because he realizes that I'm an idiot and still likes me, and knows that my value in life is to help idiots understand things. And I like that about John.
You know what? John likes all idiots, not just you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think it's because John was an idiot once himself, and
I'm told I'm an idiot every day. I mean,
well, your wife doesn't count, John.
Oh.
Yeah. We need to move forward from that. You know?
That's pretty much the preface.
Okay, here's what I gotta do. I gotta take a break. John, I have a lot of questions in front of me from our listeners that none of them fit exactly in, so I'm gonna, we'll just do them, sort of at random, try to have some continuity when we come back. I'm just gonna take a quick break. We're gonna answer some questions. Basically all you need to know about Dr. Scott and I's brew is that we went on to do another decoction and then ended up with our final mash temperature, which was about 153, I think we got it to. Am I right about that?
No, we ended up, the last decoction when we put it was higher than I wanted. I wanted about a 156. We got about a 160.
Oh, that's right. We were way up there. That was because we were drunk and like wandering around the ranch at that time.
we wanted to be done.
Yeah, but the same principle happened
out here.
What's that, John?
Mrs. Scott's out, saying, "Hey, you're brewing out there, guys. Come on."
She's out of town.
She was out of town. Hence the 13-hour drunken brew session
with like 12 people there. Yeah,
yeah.
Planning, good planning.
But that's all you need to know. So what we're going to do?
It's all about the planning.
What I want to do, because people had asked about it, especially because we're kind of all over the place. We're going to recap the step temperatures when we come back, and we're also going to go through all these questions that people have about decoction mashing in general, so that John can really give some insight into that. So hang in there with us, John, and we're going to just take a quick break.
Right. Okay. I think we really need to demystify this whole thing.
Yeah, which we haven't done a good job of so far.
No.
Yeah, no. I just asked a question, actually, who of our listeners has done a decoction before in a chat room, and the answers I get are like 50-50.
Right.
Half people have, half
like how many did it and how many liked it?
So for the ones who have done it, who haven't done it, it's really important to recap and explain.
I'm going to ask John when we come back to give us a simplified version and just let him run it, because, we used ours as an example, but not everybody's is like ours. So I think a good general discussion from John will help us do that. When we come back, we'll do that. We'll answer all your questions.
Ours went smoothly, though.
Our brew went very smoothly.
Yes, it did.
And I think it's going to be fantastic beer.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk more about it, and certainly the color that we got out of it is just a great example of why you should do a decoction. So we'll talk about that.
It's going to be good Christmas for us with the Doppelbock.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a nice beer. So just a real quick break. When we come back, I still got John Palmer on the line with us, author of How to Brew. Go to howtobrew.com to check out his book, and we'll be right back here on the Brewing Network.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. on the Brewing Network.
Johnny?
Yeah?
When was the first time you heard a naughty word?
First time I heard a naughty word was when I was a child. I heard it from the chickens. Me granny, she went wild. Me granny says, "Now Johnny, the chickens they don't curse." Big horse says I to granny, 'twas the chickens said it first. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Now this is chicken talk. Fuck, 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 fuck off. This is what they say when the chickens they do laugh. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Then up the yard me granny came and let an awful shout. She says to me, "Now Johnny, shut that effing chicken's mouth." I ran the chicken up the yard, across and all around, and yet the bloody chicken wouldn't stop the effing sound. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Now this is chicken talk. Fuck, 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 fuck off. This is what they say when the chickens they do laugh. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Then Granny started cursing, but the chicken said it first. The more the Granny shouted, the more the chicken cursed. Granny said, "I never seen the like in all me life. I never had the chicken that caused so much strife." Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Now this is chicken talk. Fuck, 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 fuck off. This is what they say when the chickens they do laugh. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. So let's all sing along. Let's sing the chicken song. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Quack, 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 quack went the duck, but the chicken still said fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Now this is chicken talk. Fuck, 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 fuck off. This is what they say when the chickens they do laugh. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off. Fuck, 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 fuck off.
I like it, dog. Did you cut the dip too? Don't let me show you my dip. I like it, dog. Maybe you can come on and see us. Maybe you can come on and see us. I like it, dog. Alcohol is a time continuing thing. It just like squishes it down. I like it, dog. On again? Okay, good. Alcohol is a time continuing thing. It just like squishes it down. I like it, dog. I'm empty. Did you cut the dip too? I'm empty. Did you cut the dip too? I like it, dog. What are we doing? And let everybody know what we're doing. Yeah. As soon as we know what we're doing. I like it, dog. Back on again? Okay, good. Back on again? Okay, good. I like it, dog. Maybe you can come on and see us. I like it, dog. I like it, dog. Don't let me show you my dip too. Don't let me show you my dip too. Did you cut the dip too? 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 Did you cut the dip too?
The Brewing Network, saving your life.
One beer at a time.
Yeah, alright, you're back with the Brewcasters right here on the Brewing Network. We've got John Palmer on the line with us, helping us discuss decoction mashing. John, how are you doing there? You hanging in there, brother?
I'm hanging.
Okay, that's good. Poor guy, keeping it from his family.
Deschutes pale ale.
A Deschutes, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is that the Mirror Pond Pale?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good beer.
I had the porter earlier, but ran out of porters, so now I'm drinking the pales.
Now the pale. That's actually, I like that. It's a real mild, kind of an English style pale, but I like it. That's a nice one.
Yeah,
got some hop character to it. You know. Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'm going to leave it up to you, John, because I want you to give us that summary of decoction mashing, and I'd rather you take it. You know, the reason I want you to do it, and however you want to do it. I know that the way you do it in the book is very concise, and it kind of really hammers it down, and it's a nice general discussion of however you're going to do it. So I'd like you to give that rundown, but I also have these questions in front of me. So which do you want to do first?
Well, let me just throw out a couple of basic thoughts on decoction and using decoction.
Let's do it.
And then let's go to the questions. I mean, I do the questions first, but then I may get so off on tangents I'll forget the basics. So
no worries.
Let's cover the basics first. Decoction is most suited to less modified malts that are German or Czech Pils malts, or a Briess Pilsen malt, malts that are only about 36% modified.
Okay.
These malts benefit from decoction mashing. They need decoction mashing to get the full extraction, the full efficiency out of the brewing session. Modern, highly modified malts don't need decoction. You can get all of your extract out of a single infusion temperature mash. In between, of course, you've got, say if you're at 40%, a multiple step infusion, will help you. And at any point, multiple step infusions or multiple temperature rests, that's what I want to say. Multiple temperature rests can be used to drive your fermentability. So you can rest at 145 degrees, 60 degrees C, and to favor your beta amylase, and then move up to 155, 158 degrees F, 65 C to favor your alpha amylase. By varying the times at those two temperatures, you can drive the fermentability of the wort. So decoction mash is most suited to undermodified malts.
Okay.
You can use decoction to fix infusions. Let's say you're doing a single temperature infusion or a multi-infusion, and you've added your strike water and you're low. You're thinking, oh crap, I missed my temperature rest, I'm low. Well, you can take a decoction, put it in a saucepan on the stove, boil it, add it back. You've added some heat to your mash, if you're mashing in a cooler, let's say. Without further diluting. I mean, depending on what your grain to water ratio is at the time, you don't want to alter that perhaps. But so you can do a decoction and add some heat to that mash tun to help you get to your temperature rest.
Now that's a great bit of advice there, because I think it's a common thing to miss your mash. Well, at least at my brew house, it's a common thing to miss your mash temperature. So that's a good correction then.
Yeah, it's something you can do quickly. I mean, you just, run in the house, grab a saucepan, come out, scoop out some, throw it on the stove for a minute,
boil it
back. Yeah.
And then dump it back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also you use decoction mashing when you're doing a classic American Pilsner or a wit, where you're doing a cereal mash. You're using unmalted wheat, or corn grits or rice.
Yeah.
You're essentially doing decoction there. And in the book, I start that section of the chapter by saying, and now for something completely different that's actually completely the same. You're taking a cereal grain that's unmalted. The starches are locked up in these protein carbohydrate matrices, and you're going to boil them to make sure that those carbohydrates are fully accessible to the enzymes. And so I run through the cereal mash procedure in there, and Randy Mosher runs through it really well in his Radical Brewing book.
Okay.
So that's the cereal mashing, or that the big three breweries practice, Bud Miller, Coors. with the rice and corn, they're doing a decoction step really, because they're boiling this cereal with a portion of barley to get good breakdown of those starches in the adjunct grain to add back to their main mash.
Because if they just did a regular mash, they wouldn't get enough of the starches and enzymes that they need.
Right, because these unmalted grains, they're all locked up. Especially in the case of corn and rice, their gelatinization temperature or their solubilization temperature are higher than that of barley.
Okay.
So, if you did a single temperature infusion at 155, hey, the corn and rice isn't accessible yet. It's not soluble.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. While you're on that, I did have I'm not going to get to all the questions, but one that came through, because you're talking about these under-modified malts,
Mm-hmm.
So somebody wants to know if will decocting a highly modified malt, such as, say, an English malt, will it hurt the finished beer?
No, it's really more of a spinning your wheels thing.
Okay, it's kind of unnecessary.
That was put so well. Spinning your wheels.
And now, what about off? I think they're sort of concerned about off flavors. Would you get off flavors from doing that to a highly modified malt?
No,
not at that point. You're only mashing, and you're not going to get off flavors.
Okay.
No, spinning your wheels is such a good way to put it.
Okay, so it's unnecessary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
With today's highly modified malts, if you want to do a decoction, you're trying to brew a Bock or a Munich Dunkel with a highly modified malt. Do your single decoction. Use it for the conversion to mash out step. Boil it for 20-30 minutes. You'll get those Maillard reactions occurring. But because it's highly modified, you don't need to do... Oops, almost spilled my beer.
Don't do that. Shame on you.
Yeah. Because
almost is the key here.
Yeah. It didn't spill. But because it's highly modified, you don't need to do the earlier decoction steps like y'all did yesterday.
Okay.
The first step from dough into protein and protein to conversion. Those aren't necessary, and if you do those with a highly modified malt, you're not going to hurt anything, like Doc said, but you are just spinning your wheels because you really don't need to do them.
That's pretty much why we did just a double decoction, not a triple.
Okay.
Yep.
On the whole thing.
Because we would have been spinning our wheels.
We would have been spinning our wheels with a triple decoction on that.
Yeah, now I remember hearing Chris Graham saying he does the triple decoction Pilsner on Thanksgiving.
Yes, he does.
And, I don't know what malts he's using, but maybe if he's using like Breeze Pilsen malt, which is, a less modified malt, then that's a perfectly good malt and a perfectly good mash schedule to do in that case.
Okay.
But it makes the smoking beer. It's fun to visit him like halfway through Thanksgiving.
When he's doing it.
Yes.
I bet.
Okay.
I bet.
Okay. Want to get to some questions, John?
Yeah.
Okay. First question, people want to know how to get around decoction mashing too, because of the extra steps, which by the way, let me just say real quick. So the part that was difficult was not understanding all this. It was having to stir your decoction the entire time. For you extract brewers, it's the same principle of where you turn the flame off on your stove when you add your extract and you stir it in, because if you leave it on, you're going to burn the extract at the bottom of the pot. Same thing with the decoction mashing. Because you're actually adding heat to your grains, you got the flame on the bottom, particularly when you have a stainless steel pot, you run the risk of charring the bottom. And so you're constantly stirring this thing. Big pain in the ass, although by the look of the beer,
he did it with a
worth
smile.
It. Oh, I was happy.
Yeah.
I was fine.
Well, that's why you always bring someone, newbie over to do it for you.
Yes, you invite your
AKA Justin.
Yeah, you go, hey, do you want to learn how to do a decoction mash?
We're doing a decoction, baby. Come on.
And you got to sound like real excited about it like that.
For how long did you steer? I saw your hands. They have blisters and
I bet
look at
that, Doc. Look at my skin hanging off.
Damn.
For how long did you steer?
No more than 15 minutes at a time.
Oh, but that's long.
It was longer than
but
that.
He did it.
For such a skinny, tall, weak dude, that's a long time.
Justin did it vigorously.
Didn't have to go that far.
He did it vigorously.
I did. No, it was cool. I had a beer in one hand and a paddle in the other.
And he could have called, tagged out. Yeah. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Keep the spoon in this pot, Justin.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so anyway, so that is the only hard part about the decoction, by the way. So people want to know, first question is, can you get the same sorts of flavors by boiling your first runnings? So I guess instead of the whole grain, just taking your first runnings. What do you think about that?
I will say, in principle, no.
Okay.
I haven't done side by side to try. I mean, I haven't specifically tried to do that. I think by boiling your first runnings or boiling them at a high concentration or boiling them for 2-3 hours to get Maillard reactions to occur, I think you would end up with different flavors. And I will draw your attention to concentrated malt extract boils, where the whole problem with extract brewing for many people is extract twang.
Yeah.
Where
Exactly.
you're taking 6 pounds of malt extract in a 3-gallon pot, boiling it on the stove for an hour, and then you're diluting the fermenter from doing a 1080 boil or 10100 boil diluting down to 1040, 1050, and you say, I've got this odd flavor. It's like a sweet, odd flavor. Molasses, treacle.
It's almost like a brown sugary kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah. So I think if you boil your first runnings, that's probably the kind of Maillard reaction flavors you're going to end up with.
Okay.
Yeah, almost an extract flavor.
Yeah. So I think the Maillard reactions that you get from decoction using the grain are different from what you get with boiling the wort.
Especially even like a little at a time. What we're doing, and then adding back even more soluble starches that the enzymes can get to. So we're throwing that back in. So you're doing a lot of more complex things when you're doing a decoction mash.
Okay.
If you want to get decoction mash type flavors in a extract or in a single temperature infusion mash, then I suggest you look to your aromatic malt, your melanoidin malts.
Okay.
And you really can't steep these grains as well. I believe those two, aromatic and melanoidin, are not fully converted. I think they need to be mashed with base malt. So you'd have to do a mini mash at a minimum.
Well, that's what Jamil always says. It's what are the flavor differentials between kettle caramelization and adding adjunct malts? And there's a flavor trade-off with each one, and you can get close with either one.
Yeah.
And it all depends on how much effort you want to put into either one.
Yeah. Brewing is so much like good cooking. I mean, you can go to the finest restaurant and have a dish and say, this tastes wonderful. And you go home and try to make that. You're not going to do it exactly the same way.
Right.
And it's not going to taste exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's going to be close.
Yeah.
It's going to be good, but it's not going to be exactly the same.
Great point. Okay, I'm glad that you brought up the using aromatic or melanoidin malt to sort of substitute the decoction, because I did have a question come through specifically, can you use that, to sort of substitute the decoction? So since you said yes, you can, I don't know if you can answer this on the fly. The follow-up to that question from the person in our chat room was, if you do that, what percentage of your grist then is your aromatic or melanoidin? What do you think about that?
Oh, well,
it's tough, huh?
Family Feud survey says.
Okay.
Typically I would say 5 to 10%, but I'm winging it there.
Okay. That's fair.
My personal thing is I never want to go over 15% adjunct grains.
Okay.
It just gets cloying after that. And
let me ask a dumb question.
How dumb is it?
Pretty dumb.
Okay.
But I think there's other people with the same dumb question.
Like me.
I know what aromatic malt is because it's called aromatic malt? If you go to your store, it says aromatic.
Right.
What's melanoidin malt? And is it called, when you go to the store, is it called melanoidin malt?
Right. You can't get it everywhere.
Is that what it's called, though? Or that's just
malt.
what it is?
Yes.
It is called that. Okay.
Is it Weirman's malt?
Yeah, I think it is. Different maltsters have different things they call it. They basically malt it at a different kiln temperature.
Okay.
For one flavor or another.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a special malting recipe, kilning and moisture content, where they accomplish these Maillard reactions in the malt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And one of the things that Dan Gordon was talking about is the difference between caramel malts. German caramel malts are not the same as British caramel malts or American caramel malts. They just do it in a different way.
They kiln it differently.
And what John said is it's a different recipe.
Okay.
They kiln it at one certain temperature, but with a different moisture content.
Okay.
And it's a different recipe to get the same thing. So one Carapils is not the same as another Carapils, or another Caramunic is not the same as another Caramunic.
Okay.
And it really depends on German or Belgian, that kind of thing.
I'm glad about that, actually. I like that, because then you can try different ones and figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do find melanoidin malt, is there just one, or are there, this is a melanoidin, that's a melanoidin? I mean, you see what I mean here?
I think probably, like you said, Weirman's is probably the one that makes the melanoidin malt.
And it's just one malt. You
right.
go get
and if you
tasted
tasted something that was similar to it from Durst, it would probably be really close. Like aromatic and melanoid are probably pretty close.
Okay. Now, aside from the science part of it, because I'm sure you can answer that, for aromatic malt, then, is it called aromatic malt because it's very aromatic? Because you get a lot of aroma out of it?
No.
Yeah.
It's not? Oh, John says yes, Doc says no. I love that. John, go ahead. We'll let John go first, and then we'll go to Doc.
Well, aromatic is a trade name.
Oh, it's just a trade name?
That's what I was going for.
Okay.
It's a trade name. It's whatever they call their product.
I see.
And that's why I said no.
Okay.
And that's probably why he said yes.
Okay.
It's a trade name. Whatever, this is what my product is. And this is what it is. I'm calling it aromatic malt.
So if I want more malty aroma out of my beer, I don't add aromatic. You see what I'm saying? Is that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
If you're looking for malty notes in the beer, aromas, a little bit of malty character, Munich malt, Caramunic malt, biscuit, these are
Special B.
Yeah, especially these are all malts made by different maltsters to accomplish kind of the same thing. Brice Victory malt.
Okay.
They're all these are the Wolf Koisen's biscuit malt.
Right.
These are those you get the biscuity, toasty flavors out of those.
Okay.
When you're looking for a decoction character, that's when you go to you step up from the Munich malt to the aromatic, to the melanoidin malts. And forgive me, maltsters, for not remembering whose product is whose, but those are like Durst and Dingmann's and Weirman malts. They talk about a melanoidin malt, one that's mimics the decoction Maillard reaction kind of flavors.
And they all get a little different. So when you're the maltster and you come up with something that's really cool, and they call it melanoidin malt, that's what I'm calling it.
Okay.
That's right. And those malts too, you don't want to go overboard. Like Doc said, 15% for any adjunct. Well, I would say 5% max for some of these, because they are very intensely flavored.
Some of you gotta really kind of know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Max, my max on anything is base grain to any adjunct is 15%.
Yeah.
But as he said, some of these are pretty intense. You don't want to go 15% chocolate malts. You don't want to go 15% special B.
Yeah.
15% aromatic malts pushing it too.
Okay.
You don't want to do that. So you got to know, kind of experiment with some of these things.
Okay. And I'm telling you, that's what I like. I like that there's all these different things so that you can...
And each maltster has their own, little characters with these things. So,
okay.
They're all good.
Okay, let's go on to some other questions, John, because I know I told poor John an hour, and as usual...
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
John, we need to get you in the studio, man.
I know it.
I wonder if guests know that I'm such a friggin' liar. I wonder if they know when I call them and I say, an hour, that they've already caught wind from other guests that I'm being completely optimistic and ridiculous.
Well, I promised my wife it would only be an hour. But I agree with you.
John, we promise people that when they come in the studio, it will be an hour, and 3 hours goes boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the 1 hour boil show. I mean, I was ready to keep going.
Yeah.
I could have done another hour easily.
And that's the thing. People go, how do you, even other people who do what we do, they do other shows, they go, how can you go on for 3 hours? And I'm thinking, how do you not? How do you stop? There's so many questions. There's so many, every new topic branches off into another topic. That I'm going how do you, I always have to choose a finite point, and I hate doing it, but I always have to choose a point where I go, okay, we're going to have this guest back, and we have to stop.
John, it just makes you more the star that you are.
That's right.
So.
All right, let me get these questions out so that we can let you go eventually.
Okay. Yeah.
How come tannins aren't extracted during decoction?
pH. The pH of a decoction, especially a thick decoction, is very buffered. And the boiling action actually lowers the pH by a tenth. So, you're in your main mash, and assuming your mash chemistry, that is your water chemistry and your grain bill are such that let's say you're right at 5.2 to 5.6, call it 5.4. That's not going to change during the boil. You're below that magical 6 pH where tannin extraction becomes a problem.
That was always my question. So early on, was like, I'm going to boil this stuff up above, 160, 170, 180. And why am I not extracting tannins? And it's concentration, pH, everything's more concentrated.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
And I think you're getting polymerization of tannins too, which helps them fall out of solution.
Yeah, they bind up, so.
Yeah. So when you go to your boil and you go through your hot break, have some of those tannins there, but they're falling right out.
Okay.
And we're getting beyond my level of chemistry here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to leave it at that.
It happens, and that's enough.
It's worked for 300 years. It worked.
Well, then another question that came through, since we're talking about pH, since a decoction lowers the pH, this person wants to know if you recommend using that 5-star 5.2 stabilizer. The question actually was, do you ever recommend using the 5.2 stabilizer? But let's narrow it down to the decoction part. Do you need to stabilize your pH like that in a mash that is going to naturally reduce it?
Okay, now here we're dealing with my personal bias on mash pH.
Fair enough.
And when I consider 5.2 to be a brilliant product, but it's a Band-Aid.
Okay.
If you understand your water chemistry and read chapter 15 in my book.
It's all right, man. You can say that.
Chapter
you know
15.
What? If a lot of people were to come on the show and do that, I'd think they were a douchebag. But John, your book's so good, man. You do that. That's fine. Go ahead.
Well, chapter 15 is all about residual alkalinity.
Okay.
And Lord knows I didn't invent this. It was invented by Paulus Kolbach, in 1946 or 43 or something around that. And where he realized, he did the work to discover how your malt bill and the calcium and magnesium and alkalinity of your brewing water interplay with the malt phyton to determine your mash pH.
Okay.
And so you calculate your residual alkalinity for your brewing water, and then you brew based on that water. And if let's say you have really soft water like Portland.
All right.
Or Pilsen, no minerals in it. That's what I mean by saying soft. There's no minerals in it whatsoever. Practically distilled.
Okay. Surface runoff.
Yeah, you can't brew a dark beer with water like that.
No.
Okay.
It becomes out really acrid. And why? Because dark malts have natural acidity, organic acidity to them. And you put, basically distilled water with the grain bill for a stout or a porter, it's going to drive your mash pH down below 5.2, down into 4,
4.8, 4.6. I've been down there.
Yeah, down there, and you come out with a really acrid tasting porter or stout. I mean, it's just like, what's wrong with this beer?
It's like sharp and acidy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Likewise, if you have alkaline water like Houston, and
Phoenix is like that too.
And I was just working with a guy this past week from Minnesota, where he had residual alkalinity of up close to it was like 250 or something.
Oh.
Where perfect for brewing a dark imperial stout, but he was trying to brew pale ales, and he said all of my beers are kind of a house flavor. They're dull tasting. They're kind of astringent bitter. It's because his mash pH, with pale malts and a highly alkaline water, was coming out at the high end of the 5.8 to 6 mash pH, getting tannin extraction, and his beers weren't coming out well. We drove his mash pH down. He said, "Wow, my efficiency just went up 20 points."
Okay.
So let me get back onto the main question.
Sure. No worries.
So
I got sucked into that.
The 5.2 is good, but it's a Band-Aid. If you understand, the interplay of the style of beer you're trying to brew, the big grain bill and your residual alkalinity, then you're not going to have a problem.
Okay.
So
let me goat you on here, just at the risk of you going on for another 10 minutes, in a nice way.
I'm with him.
I know, I get I really. That's why I'm asking the question.
I'm hanging on every word.
I'm curious then if what you're saying is you will fix your pH problem with something like 5.2. But not all of the things that come along with your pH being wrong. So you're only adding one,
right.
It's not well rounded. It's only one little portion of it. Are you saying that?
Yeah, you're throwing a Band-Aid on the problem.
You're whitewashing the whole thing.
Yeah, and you can get, 5.2 works most of the time, but if you try to throw 5.2 on the really high alkaline problem,
yeah,
it's not going to work.
Okay.
No, I've heard bad things about that.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah.
It's the horror stories you hear about 5.2, and that's the ones you hear about.
Now, I guess what I mean is, will it get the pH right, but that's not enough?
Not always.
Oh, okay. Well, so it won't even always get the pH right.
No, it's a
60% solution. 5.2 will get you there most of the time. Most people, if they've got pretty average water, where their ideal beer to brew with their water is somewhere around
amber.
Yeah, an amber.
Yeah.
15 SRM.
Okay.
And, that works. Or if they got something, if they're trying to brew a 15 SRM beer with Portland water and they use 5.2, it'll work.
Okay. So I could kick some ass here with some 5.2, because I brew a lot of amber beers, and I got nice EB mud water. It's pretty basic. Yeah. I could do just fine with 5.2.
Right.
It's the poor guys out there at the extremes, out there, Dublin, Houston, Phoenix, and brewing Pilsen.
The guys that have a lot of well water that come out of the ground, that are really carbonic, way on one side.
For them, it's not enough.
No. It's way on one side, and they're trying to brew a beer on the other side.
Okay.
It would help them brew certain beers, but not every beer.
Okay.
Yeah. A buffer can only do so much, and 5.2 is just a buffer.
Okay.
So to get into acid-base titration, it's a buffer.
You got to know where your water is to begin with. So if your water is already heavily buffered in one direction, the 5.2 can only pull it back so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to decoction. And Doc, you can probably jump in on this too, but we'll go John first. Do you have a comment on using a pressure cooker for decoction? And they go on to say, does it make a single mash Oh, actually, I don't know what the hell Daniela wrote there. Or can you?
Let me see.
Can't get the second part.
What the hell?
We'll start with. You want to read the second part of your question there, Daniela?
So do you have a comment on using a pressure cooker for decoction?
Yeah.
For example, does it make a single work as well as a triple, or can you get away with less volume?
I see. There you go. What do you think about that?
I don't have the personal experience to definitively answer that question.
Okay.
But I would say that a pressure cooker should provide the Maillard reactions that a triple decoction would in a single decoction.
Oh. What do you think about that, Doc? Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, in case that wasn't terribly clear. So if you use a pressure cooker to do a single decoction, you're probably going to get a similar profile to a triple decoction. Doc?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one with you, and I almost think it's almost spinning your wheels again.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and yeah, I think spinning your wheels. But you're going to get more of what you get probably out of just like boiling in an open pot. So more of what you get basically out of a single decoction. But
there's so many factors at play with that question that it's really hard to answer definitively. I could do it one way, you could do it another way, Doc does it another way.
It's not going to come out the same no matter if we did it the same.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to tell the difference between using that, pressure cooker and me doing a single open air decoction or triple decoction. It's all good. If you're going to do the trouble to do it, just do it. You're going to come out with a better beer any way you look at it.
Okay. All right. Let's go on here. How about this? Now, this is a good question I think that came through kind of a while back. Is to what extent does doing a decoction mash improve your efficiency on average? Because it is said that doing a decoction gives you better efficiency. Doc and I were talking about it. He doesn't need any help with efficiency. His system does great. And a lot of, people have their efficiency dialed in. But how much does doing a decoction add to your efficiency on average, John? Do you have an idea about that?
Again, I don't have enough data.
Okay.
Why don't we just go into the empirical about why?
Yeah.
Well, why does it add efficiency?
Yeah, why does it add efficiency?
Okay.
Not how much.
All right, then
but
why? Good. Yeah, absolutely.
But it add efficiency because you're making the carbohydrates more accessible. Now, the degree to which you make them, that difference of accessibility is going to depend on your initial malt modification. So if you're doing a decoction with a highly modified malt, you're probably not going to see a big jump in efficiency. Maybe 4 points.
Right.
But if you're doing even a multi-rest infusion versus a decoction with a 36% modification malt, then I'd say you're going to see a significant 10, 12 point, improvement in efficiency. It's because, of the whole modification and what it means and, what your mashing process should be to make best use of the malt that you're working with.
Yeah, it's all about the malting. It was under modified. The malting wasn't all there, and now you're doing the next step, which is the mashing. And it's all about breaking things down, busting it up so the yeast can eat small sugars. And when you're doing this decoction thing, you're bringing it up to a point where you're just like busting it out. You're breaking up these pockets of starch and making it more available. More available sugars, your efficiency goes up. So that's the why. How much? Who knows?
Yeah, I think any individual brewer is probably going to hit a ceiling as far as his lautering system is concerned.
And when you're at a homebrew level, what the heck?
Yeah.
When you're doing a 5 or 10 gallon batch, it's the difference between a pound of malt.
Yeah.
And I missed my grain. If you would have thrown another pound of grain in, you would have hit your OG.
Yeah.
And at that point, with a buck, does it really matter that much? And if we're doing a 10 barrel batch, it would matter.
Yeah.
When you got to make money for the suits.
Okay. All right, how about this? Now, I've spoken to you about this briefly, John, and we both refer to actually Denny Kahn about this one, so he's he's done the actual side-by-side test, but I think it's relevant anyway. The question that came through from the chat room is, have you found that, this person says, I've heard that decoction doesn't really make a difference, and he wants to know what you think. He wants to know if people can see the difference in a finished beer. And I guess by see, we mean, taste it and see it and the whole bit. Yeah. So I know that Doc is going to have some answers to this too, especially based on what we just did. And I'm glad about that. We can use what we did yesterday as an example. But John, what do you, theoretically, what do you think about whether or not decoction makes a difference?
I don't have the data in hand to give a hard answer one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Denny said he's going to send me some data that he had gathered.
Cool. He did a side-by-side, right?
Yeah, he did a side-by-side. I think it was even a triangle test, blind tasting.
Oh, great.
And from what he told me, that was inconclusive. Now, whether it was, maybe 56% picked one over the other.
Okay.
Statistically, that probably wasn't a conclusive answer.
Yeah.
There's lies, damn lies, and there's statistics.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and let's assume for a second that it was completely accurate. Then you have the margin of error.
Yeah.
And so 56% is hardly one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't tasted the difference. I mean, I haven't been able to, say, oh, this one's decocted and this one wasn't. I can't walk up to a beer and tell that.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to pass.
Okay. Doc?
Well, I've talked to Jamil a couple of times about this whole thing, and certain beer styles are better decocted, and some are better with, he calls it kettle caramelization.
Yeah.
And other are better modifying the malt bill. And
instead of doing decoction.
Right.
Yeah.
And he tends towards modifying the malt bill, especially on his Scottish ales.
Okay.
Or his milds kind of thing. And I haven't talked to him about, let's say, Doppelbox or that fraction of it. So I just looking at what we did yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was dramatic.
Well, and now the color was what because we haven't tasted it yet.
The only reason I did this was for the color because I did not want to add a lot of dark grains.
Yeah.
And actually I added the dark grains in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In the mash.
I guess what I was saying is, right, if you plan an infusion mash with appropriate malts versus a decoction mash with appropriate malts to end up with the same beer, color, flavor profile, hopping rate, I'm going to say it's going to be hard to tell the difference between the two.
Okay.
If you take the same grain bill that you did the decoction beer with and just do a single temperature infusion mash, oh yeah, big difference.
Yeah, the color will be very, very different.
Yeah, exactly. But so it's you got to use the method that suits the grain, that suits the style.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And I'll tell you, what Doc and I are hoping for, because we haven't tasted it, but I think this is a prime example of that because we got all of the color out of what you'd get from adjusting your mash without adjusting, or adjusting your grain bill rather, without adjusting our grain bill. Instead, we got it out of doing the decoction. So we're going to get, because of the style of beer, we don't want it very roasty. We don't want those other flavors that adjusting our grain bill would have done. But instead, we got awesome color. All of that color that we would have gotten out of adjusting our grain bill. And maybe even better.
Just even after the first decoction, we boiled it down. I would say it was a SRM 20.
It's so cool.
And we didn't. We're boiling down. We're looking at it, and okay, that's cool. And we got to put it back in the main mash. The main mash was a SRM 3.
Yeah.
And whoa. That's big, and we put it back in, and
you saw it, Daniela, when we transferred it to the kettle. When we were done with our whole mash and we started doing our lauter. How cool was that color?
It was super cool.
Really deep.
Very.
It was just like this copper kind of awesome color, and we didn't. I probably put maybe a pound of chocolate malt in 64 pounds.
Yeah.
and almost all the color came from the decoction.
Yeah. And we're going to come back to that at the end after we let John go, because I do want to focus on how you did the chocolate malt. I thought it was it's very short and a cool tip that we can throw in. Okay, I still have a couple more questions for you here, John.
Okay.
Do it fast.
What the heck? You're here.
I'll stay to the end of the show. The family's fed. I got a ham and made rice. They're all set.
I love that. I think they've got ham. Everybody's fine.
I wish we had ham. I'm really hungry.
No kidding. Okay, here's another basic question, or a general question, rather, that came through. So in general, they want to know, do you just use a single decoction for most beers instead of, say, a double or triple decoction? So what is the average here for doing decoctions? Or is there one, I guess, is a good question.
To me, it goes to my laziness factor.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
It depends on, who you are and what you're brewing and what malts you're working with.
Okay.
As I said, the single, double, triple should depend on the malt you're working with. What does that malt need? If you're working with today's highly modified malts, but you want a decoction beer, then you should only be doing the single.
Okay.
That's to really try to pin it down.
So that you're not running
if you're doing
in
a
place.
Hefeweizen,
yeah,
you should probably be doing a single.
Okay. Now that's I had a question about that. Somebody actually, where is that?
That's a little bit different reason why you're doing a decoction on a Hef, but
yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody wanted to know they're going to do a Hef, and they wanted to know, what are the different temperatures, and how do I choose which temperatures I'm going to use for a Hef? So if you're going to do a decoction for a Hef, you're saying you just...
I would do a single on that. I don't want a lot of caramelization, but I want to really break up the proteins.
Okay.
And pull it into where you're going to start at a protein rest, 122, and then do the decoction, try to get it back up to, the mid-amylase range.
Yeah.
Would you go with that too, John? Because you were saying earlier that with a single, you'd do it post-conversion.
Yeah, well... In the case of a Hef, where you're working with a bulk of unmalted wheat, you've got a lot of beta-glucan to break down. You've got protein to break down. So yeah, you're gonna do your rest to work those enzymes. The beta-glucan rest, the protein rest, and then you're gonna pull your decoction, maybe for the conversion step from protein. And make a bulk of that wheat, more accessible to get higher extraction out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What is the dough-in temperature for a triple decoction? This came through.
About 100.
Yeah?
About 100. Yeah, anywhere from 100 to 110.
Okay, so right in there. That's your dough-in
you want
temperature.
to go low, go slow.
Let's just do this now. So that's your dough-in temperature. What's your next temperature?
About a 122, 121.
Okay.
At the protein rest.
What's your next one?
I like a low 40s. And then
the 140, yeah.
Low 140s.
Okay.
It's a range.
And then finally your actual conversion temperature.
High 150s.
Okay.
Mid 150s.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Right on. Okay. Here's an interesting question, I thought. This person says, I've found that with a brew that I've used decoction, the ferment is cleaner, and the yeast is cleaner, and the beer seems to settle out a lot faster. He wants to know, would this be due to the fact that when each decoction is boiled, the proteins are coagulating and being filtered in the mash?
You're definitely complexing the proteins and tannins.
Okay.
Yeah, you're busting things up.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So would you two both kind of, whether you have the actual stats to back it up, would you say in general a decoction would make for a cleaner ferment and dropout like that?
Proteins are big molecules, huge in the scheme of things. And by doing the decoction and boiling these things, you're busting them up into smaller chains. So
well, that's a benefit there, especially if you're not a filter guy.
As long as you don't overdo things, and then you come up with a thin beer with no head.
Okay. I got a caller here. I got Oz on the air. He says he disagrees with both of you.
Oh, Oz, don't make me come all the way around.
Oh, come on, Doc. Hey.
Hey, man.
Hey, Doc, you're having a bit of a drink and you don't call me up and tell me, no forewarning.
You know what's funny, Doc? Hey, turn down whatever you got that's echoing there, Ozzy. I called Oz earlier in the week because, and in fact, I may do this with you when we let John off the hook, because Oz has a great sort of very simple decoction method, and it could be done in like 10 minutes. It's a really just kind of quick and easy. Oh, see, I don't know why we're echoing.
Oz, call back.
Yeah, Ozzy, call me right back. But anyway, my point was, I told Ozzy, I'd like you to help out with the decoction show a little bit and do the simplified version of it, and I want you to stay sober. And then, right, like 5 minutes after we started the show, he sent me angry messages saying, how come I have to stay sober, but Doc can show up hammered?
But I think the last couple of weeks I've sent him some, like, drunk emails. All misspelled on purpose and everything.
Yeah. Okay, here's a quick one. Would you recommend decoction for a barley wine? Either one of you?
No.
You'd say no?
No.
Because you're using highly modified malts generally for a barley wine?
There's no point. It's just, as John said, you're spinning your wheels.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a barley wine, you've got such a high gravity, you've got such intense, high caramel sweetness, you've got such a thick body that a lot of your malty maillards are going to be lost in that. Now, if this barley wine is going to be low hopped, then maybe decoction could have a role in there. Depending on the malt character you're developing. But.
So you're talking about a young, drinkable barley wine as opposed to something you might want to age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be. I guess what I was going for was that decoction type flavors are going to be hard to see in a barley wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, what's the benefit?
Okay.
Yeah.
No point. So no, sir.
I'd say no.
Unless you really make that barley wine more like a double bock or triple bock, where you dumb down the hops, you really let the malt be the entire beer. Maybe you'll get a different character from a decoction.
Okay.
Some accent in that barley wine from decoction that you wouldn't otherwise get. But I don't know. Most barley wines are so thick and complex; it'd be hard to pull a decoction note out.
I think I'm going to throw in the White Brothers answer for this one, which would be
it depends.
Yeah.
And with that, just going to go ahead and give a hoorah for homebrewing, because you know what? Do it.
You know what?
Just do it, and then
why not?
Because that's right. Maybe you're spinning your wheels, but as John is saying, maybe adjust a couple of things, and who knows? Maybe you'd get an awesome, different sort of thing out of it. And the beauty of doing small batches, man, go for it.
It might be that award-winning barley wine.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'll tell you what. I think I've decided that the only time I can ever answer questions that come through is if I just steal the answer from the White Brothers. And say, because it doesn't make me sound dumb necessarily, because I'm not giving the wrong answer. I'm just saying, it depends.
What does that make of them?
Here's one that came through for Doc, but John, you probably have maybe some things to say about it too, because you've got a great chapter on water. And by the way, we got another water show coming up. Not going to tell you when, not going to tell you what's happening, but it's coming up. This question was because you were talking about well water before, Doc.
Right.
So this person wanted to know. He says well water has lots of minerals. Are they hard or soft?
John.
It depends.
Yeah. It depends. Damn it! It does, right? It depends on your well.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, you're going to get water from two surfaces. You're going to get it either snow melt, which is Hetchy, where we get it from.
Yeah.
And it's all soft because it's snow melt.
Okay.
Or it filters through the water. Filters through the
rock,
yeah.
And it's going to pick up minerals as it goes. So if you're talking about deep wells, you're going to get a lot of minerals.
And then it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it depends on what kind of minerals those are. It depends if it's sulfate or carbonate, that kind of thing. So you got to know where you're coming from.
Which ones make it hard?
calcium, magnesium are your hardness minerals.
Yeah.
Also, manganese, iron, chromium. Your metal ions are what make a water hard.
Okay.
Soft means that it can mean two things. Either you don't have many minerals at all. It's like Pilsen or Portland, where it's like, single digits across the board. Or it can mean like Houston, where you've got such high alkalinity that the water seems soft, but really there's quite a bit of hardness there too. A level of hardness that anywhere else would be called hard. But it's really the alkalinity, the 300 parts per million of alkalinity, that makes the beer suitable. I mean, the water suitable only for brewing stouts.
Right. The alkalinity is almost a stall factor.
Yeah.
You can't. It buffers so hard you can't pull it down. Anything but like a lot of dark malts.
Okay.
So it depends. It depends.
I love it, man.
Yeah, well water, a lot of people seem to get slammed with manganese and iron.
And you don't want either one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, that's a blackball. You don't want either one of those in your water if you're going to brew.
Because it will make them taste nasty.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Doesn't matter if the well water is hard or soft. You got iron and manganese, your host.
As Cleveland says, that's just nasty.
Okay. Listen, I gotta pee, and I gotta refill my beer.
You're not even standing.
John, could you hang in there through a break? And
sure.
Actually, it will be it's cool because we'll do a short segment when we come back, but fun. We're gonna do Stump the Palmer.
Oh, awesome.
Everyone wants to play Stump the Palmer, John.
I want to say pump the Stalmer.
So here's what we're going to do. And you're going to want to stick around because we're going to play Stump the Palmer. And then also we're going to give Doc's tip about how to add some roasted grains to get color without getting that roastiness. It's a really simple kind of, but you're going to want to hear it. Hey, Ozzy, are you still there, buddy? Ozzy? No, I guess I hung up on Ozzy. Okay, that's good. Ozzy, here's what we'll do.
Good.
Because, well, no, it's not good, but I didn't want to wait through the break. Here's what we'll do. We're going to come back. We're going to do Stump the Palmer. I'm going to let John go so he can go hang with the fam after that, and then we'll get Ozzy on the air real quick and have another beer, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Because Oz really, really disagrees.
Does he
Strongly,
actually?
Yes.
With what? Which part?
I don't remember.
Usually it's protein rest.
Yeah, I think it was something about that.
Oh.
With both of them.
Oh, see, then I want him to. All right, Ozzy, just call back after the break because I got to have John on if you're going to call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I really know. I know Oz's stand on the protein rest, and actually, I kind of agree with him. So.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that sounds exciting, too. Get yourselves a beer, have a pee. When we come back, we've still got John Palmer on the line, author of How to Brew. Go to howtobrew.com to check it out. Stump the Palmer when we come back. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back in, I think it's about 5 minutes. Hang on a sec.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Yeah, but again, it just it really weakens the beer, though, in general, putting the lime in.
Yeah, and that's why. I mean, normally, you take it, you shoot it back hard, and it comes into your mouth, and you swallow, and it's still coating your tongue.
I'm on. Thank God, not a moment too soon. There's no one in the room, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's a really hard line.
You wrote it.
What's with the Abacast dream? God damn it. Oh, these are really hard. I'm just gonna have to do this a bunch of times. Who wrote this shit? You know what? Go ahead and start me over. And just trash that whole tape. Hit that fucking whirlpool vigorously. Holy shit, I need some air. Damn, my yeast will not proof in my... Oh my God, I'm so white.
Okay.
Proof and fucking boobs being rude and my kid gotta save that a whole lot faster. This whole chat room I want out, Justin. Shit, that's a lot of words. 50G, why don't you push eject me? I'm screaming Gucci when D pushes me off the screen. Ow. I'm screaming Gucci when D pushes me off the screen. Blah, blah. That's the end of that. Then we're off into the pseudo chorus. I just got booted out of the chat room. I was so in the groove on the last one. That was crap. Holy shit, I just got booted out of the fucking chat room.
Did you have to laugh?
Sweet shit that likes life and aerobic. Damn, place will not proof and I'm out of air. Doc's little voice in my ear screaming. I realize that I'm missing 2 whole bars of lyrics. Damn, place will not proof and fucking boobs being rude, my kid. That one's impossible. Think I can't think, but then I hear Doc's little voice in my ear. This is where it just falls apart. I don't know how this worked in my head. Motherfucker, drink!
Drink! Oh man, that always kind of irked me. You're this guy's like, drink!
That part's easy. It's how do I fit all that other crap in there? Alright, that's probably good enough for now. Oh, that's funny. Is that you? Oh, that's me.
Shit.
I'm throwing down an angry rap song. Oh, what time is it? Probably within the next 20 minutes. I love you, sweetie. Okay, running out of time.
That's the gay version. Okay, don't even think about putting that on there. This is just pathetic, isn't it? Look at the 2 jerk-offs. Bet I don't have like a good rip and fart right now or something. Wait, I'm actually touching cloth.
Doc's little voice in my head screaming. Are you doing that, Fanny Man? Kill JP.
It really sounds like I'm on the pot, doesn't it? I think it does. Oh, let's listen to Sven take a crap. I'm out.
Bring it in. You're listening to 3 guys.
Excuse me, what about me?
Yeah, sorry. You're listening to 3 guys and 1 girl use a radio show as an excuse to drink more beer. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
All right, we're back on the Decoction Mash Show with John Palmer and, of course, the great Dr. Scott. And we're going to be doing some fun stuff here. Also, a few discussions with other folks. I wonder if I could get you. Let's see. Hang on.
You got Ozzy on it?
Well, he's Skyping me, but I don't know how to get you both online at the same time. I haven't figured out the whole conference code. Maybe if I hit the conference button, it'll answer him.
Yeah, usually you hit like conference 1, get the other guy on, and hit conference again, and then 3 connected.
I should know this stuff, right? Like it's my job.
Ask your secretary.
Yeah. Daniela, you mean?
Excuse me?
No.
I'm your boss.
Yeah. There's another secretary, JP. Yeah.
There you go, John.
I'm hitting the conference button, but nothing happens when I hit that button.
Maybe if you take him on Skype, it takes too much bandwidth, too.
Yeah, just call on the friggin' phone house. They don't have telephones in Australia?
Only the neighbors have that.
What's that, Doc?
Only the neighbors have that. And they're 5 miles apart.
I think something's wrong with his telephone, that's why. The conference button doesn't do it. All right.
Wait.
Just call on the phone.
Did we dismiss the fact that Oz might be too hammered to call?
It could be. Or I'm too hammered to figure out how to answer. Yeah. Look, as much as I like technology, I love all this stuff, and I use it, it's part of our business. Sometimes I just want things to be easy. Like, can't we use telephones anymore? That bothers me.
Can't everybody just be in the studio?
Everybody drive up there to the bay.
Oh, yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
John?
Well, if nothing else, let's get Oz to email it in and talk about it that way, or we can do it on another show.
No.
I don't know.
So, John, when are you coming up here?
Actually, I'm going to be up there probably over Thanksgiving, probably over Christmas, perhaps. And then I'm coming up to do a dental seminar at UCSF on...
a what seminar?
Dental.
Why? What's with you in dental?
Actually, I'm orthodontics, actually.
Ah.
Oh, the day job. And I think that's the 19th, January 19th. That's the Friday.
Well, you can hang out.
Yeah.
You need to come into the studio and, hang.
I would love to. I really would.
It's so much better, in there.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy, you there?
Hey man, technology sucks ass, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's a big pain in the ass. What's wrong with your phone?
No, it's your phone.
Of course it is. All right, well, let's do it quick. What do you got? What do you have against this thing?
There's a lot of people always saying, you can add grains and you don't need to do a decoction mash, and all decoction is doing is adding colour and that sort of stuff. But it's not. There's so much more happening. You've got, you're sucking all the more starch out of the grain. You're converting more starch into sugar. If you add more grain into your mash to compensate, say you want some melanoidin grain or an aroma grain or whatever, what you're doing there is you're going to increase your final gravity reading, where if you want a good beer that's been decocted like a Czech Pilsner, you want a lower final gravity, but you want those extra flavours that are going to come out of the decoction. The other thing that's happening too is you're coagulating what's left over, so you're getting that stuff out of the grain before it actually goes into the boil, so your final beer is going to come out a lot cleaner and crisper.
Okay, so let me get this straight. And by the way, you're coming through terribly, so I don't know if anybody got that. But
I heard.
Are you saying that you can only do a decoction, that none of the modifying your grain bill does fuck all?
Well, modifying the grain bill is going to give you the flavour and colour, but that's it. You're not going to get the extra.
Clarification
conversion out of your grain.
Okay.
And your final gravity, unless you then go back and adjust your mash temperature, bring that down. The more grains that you add into, especially the darker grains, the more of that you add into your mash, the higher your final gravity is going to be. So instead of having a nice crisp beer with a richer flavour, you're going to end up with a sweeter beer.
Okay. John, so you got all that?
Yeah.
So in your response, will you please include what he's saying, just in case it didn't come through on the audio?
Okay. Well, I agree. I basically agree with Ozzy that I think, in principle, you're going to get more other than simply flavors and degree of attenuation from a decoction beer versus an infusion beer. You're also going to get a little more clarity. You're going to, as we discussed earlier, you're going to get a higher fermentability from a decoction beer with less caramel notes, less roasty, toasty notes from additional malts that you would have used in an infusion mash to try to come close to a decoction mash. It goes back to what Doc and I were saying earlier. Can you achieve the same beer infusion versus decoction? It depends. There's so many factors at play that Ozzy is saying you're not going to get the same beer, whereas Doc and I are saying you can come close. And I think it's the half empty, half full argument, I think, in essence.
It's not an easy answer either way. So if you want to get one out of the other, it's going to take a little effort. Say you don't want to do a decoction and you just want to play with the grain bill. You can come close, but it's not a simple thing. You got to really work at it. You got to know what malt you're adding into it. You got to know what your extraction rates are going to be. Or like I said, you're going to get a sweeter beer with maybe not the crispness.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it might have the same melanoidin kind of flavor to it. And they have the same color, but you're not going to get the same beer.
Are you all right with that, Ozzy?
I am. I think if you put a beer in a competition, that the Czech Pilsner is absolutely my favourite for a decoction mash, and it generally comes out okay. If you put a Czech Pils that's been decocted, especially a triple decoction, against something that's had a little bit of victory malt or melanoidin, the one that's been decocted should win all the time, hands down.
Okay.
Well, I've told Justin even yesterday that this one's going to have to go into a competition.
It's looking good.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I want to take one of the cornies out of this and make it an ice bock.
Oh, a little ice box out of it.
Yeah.
Ozzy, are you on one of those phones that you gotta hold one piece up to your ear and friggin' wind it up to dial the operator?
No, he's at the local bar.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in my office.
You want to give out your business number now? Because you're not doing a good advertisement for how you do business. I'm serious. You sound like, you know what I'm talking about? Those ones where you hold the earpiece up and you talk into the wall unit and you can't actually dial. You have to call the operator and say, dial America for me.
Yeah, we haven't got those in Australia yet.
You're still behind?
We've still got the tin can and a bit of string.
I think... I mean, I think Oz has got like face paint and moccasins on right now. Can't even tell.
That sounds like just like a conference call.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, I think it's your sister, mate.
You think so?
It's your computer, not mine. Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, F you.
Yeah, you're not as drunk as you think I am.
Now you make a good point, Ozzy.
You did your decoction yesterday, and I know it took you 12 hours, but you're
13.
doing 13 hours. What'd you do? 20 gallons?
Yeah.
So you're doing a decoction of about 8 or 9 gallons at a time.
Yeah, we pulled a lot out.
If you're doing 5 or 10 gallons, it's not going to take you that long.
No.
It's not that hard.
Well, no, and I made the point of, I really made a point of saying it took us that long because we were screwing around drinking and partying too.
And like we barbecued, we had a lot of other things, but that's taken a long time to cool down. Well, it's 20 gallons.
Here, hold on to your method for a second, Ozzy, because when I get John off, I'll Skype you, and then we can hear what the hell you're saying.
No worries.
Because I know that you have a method that's real quick and easy, and I do want to get that out there. So I'll Skype you up as soon as we're done.
Okay, mate.
All right, brother. There you go. Ozzy on a wind-up phone.
Very toy phone.
All right, you ready for Stump the Palmer?
Yeah.
John, you still there?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, a little timid. Yeah, I'm here.
I think Oz put John to sleep.
John, they will Google these answers, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
Here we go. Now, this one is a fill in the blank. So I'll read you the sentence, and you're going to fill in the blank. All right? Okay. For our first official Stump the Palmer.
That's a good one. We haven't had that before.
Yeah, this one's cool. All right, here it is. During the mashing process, blank ions are needed for stability during the alpha amylase rests. Blank ions are needed for stability during the alpha amylase rests.
I'd have to say that'd be calcium.
Or cations.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. John Palmer is not stumped.
Nope. Next.
Who do you guys think you're screwing with here?
This is the John.
Yeah. You got more there?
Yeah, we have one more.
Okay.
What brewery made the first light lager? And it's referring to a brewery in the United States.
What U.S. brewery made the first light lager?
Oh, man, I was just reading Ambitious Brewing the other day by Maury Noggle.
How is that?
It's interesting. It really is. It's one thing, it's like, dry history, boring, but, this is brewing.
Yeah.
So they're talking about what...
They'll pull it from anywhere. They don't care.
To go off on a tangent, I mean, talking about, early Milwaukee and Wisconsin ago, where German immigrants are like raising the level of society, raising the level of civilization.
Yeah.
Early American West. I mean, with the beer hall where, you go there to enjoy an orchestra and camaraderie and stroll in the park, and drink beer versus just working, 7 days a week, 24/7, trying to put food on the table.
Yeah.
It really is an interesting read.
Okay. No, actually, if you put it that way, now I'm interested for the first time. I've heard about this book for a while, and I kind of was like, I'm sure it's okay factually. But if you put it that way, that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. And what was the question again?
Okay. Daniela, the
that
question,
was my
please.
point.
What was the first light lager brewed in the U.S.?
Oh, yeah.
What was the first brewery?
Well...
It was the first brewery, right?
Yes.
Okay.
First brewery?
Yes.
I guess it's the same answer, yeah.
Well, first brewery was in Massachusetts in like 1625, 1630.
Yeah.
The first lager was supposedly in Pennsylvania.
Light lager, though.
Light lager, but see that,
Every
so the
American lager is a light lager.
would have been an Oktoberfest or a Munich Dunkel style.
Okay.
The light lagers would probably, you're probably talking Milwaukee area and St. Louis in the 1850 area. August Schell started brewing around 1880, 1875, and in Minnesota, there in New Ulm, and they were a lager brewery also.
What if I told you it was from New York? Would you have a brewery?
Oh, New York. Okay. What's the name of that town?
See, because I think John knows it. When you come up with random questions like this,
I think he's got so many in his head.
It's hard to capture it's where it's on the tip of your tongue. That's why I'm giving him a hint if I say it's from New York.
And you buying him time to Google it. So,
see, ironically enough, my first ancestor came to the U.S. came to North America.
Yeah.
In and so I kind of researching. What was he a brewer? Was he a brewer? No. But
yeah. When was it? 16 what?
He was a pig farmer, wasn't he?
1630. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. He may just own a brothel out for all I know. But
yeah, respectable business back then.
Hey, the world's oldest profession.
I can't remember the name of the town. Amherst is coming to mind, but I don't think that's it.
Daniela?
The listener thinks it's Rheingold.
You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Not the word I was thinking of, so I would have to say stumped.
Yeah, I never heard of that either, but you have?
Yeah.
And I know who the listener that it came from, and he's got a lot of credibility around here. He knows his beer, so
John Palmer is stumped.
We'll call him stumped, I guess. For the time being, unless if I know John, he's going to go find this shit out, and if he was right, he's going to be sending some angry emails.
Rant, yeah.
Okay, we'll call you stumped.
All right.
All right.
Mrs. Henning just offered she's going to send him some fudge now because he stumped John Palmer.
Going to send Zymer just fudge?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Cool.
Zymer just get some fudge. Yeah, we've got a call coming in. Not even going to screen it. Caller.
Hello?
Who are we talking to?
Hold on. Yeah, where the hell is this damn thing?
Turn the radio down in the back.
I'm trying.
Who are we talking to?
Brian, and I think I'm calling it for Drunk of the Week.
Hey, Brian.
Let me tell you, I'm ripped.
You said Brian, by the way, is not only a fantastic listener and fan of the show, but one of the sponsors of the BN's Conical Christmas.
Nice.
And,
wait a minute.
Representing himself properly by calling in for Drunk of the Week.
How can I be a sponsor when I'm not the Brian you think I am?
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm sorry.
No. Well, that's all right. Then which Brian are we talking to?
Brian Carnell, just BC in the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Brian the Drunk of the Week.
You're damn straight.
Where are you calling from, Brian?
You know what? I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes I gotta get a little angry with the doc there with the way he thinks about Texas. But hey.
Yeah.
I've been there.
You California guys.
Go ahead.
It's not like I haven't been to Texas.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen a real Texas.
Uh-oh.
Well, yeah, I have. But you know what? I'll give it another chance.
Doc's an opinionated bastard. You got to give him that.
I won't. It's a big state. Okay, it's a big ass state.
Yeah.
But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
So you got anything going, Brian, or just calling in for Drunk of the Week in general?
I'm just calling for Drunk of the Week because I am just totally lit.
And to give Doc a little shit.
What do you?
Yeah. I mean,
What have you been drinking?
Well, I started off with a little Sam Adams because I had a little infection problem.
Okay.
And now I'm on the whiskey, and the whiskey does you good.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sterilizes things anyway.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm pretty sterile right now.
All right, you know what? I got a shirt for you. You want a T-shirt?
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll give you something, dude. We haven't had a Drunk of the Week call in a little bit.
Yeah.
So
encourage that.
Yeah, I'll give you something. You got to remember, though, to send me an email.
How large are you?
You or Daniela?
Yeah, either one. It doesn't. Send it to Daniela. Daniela at thebrewingnetwork.com.
At the Brewing Network.
Yeah.
Brian, are you a big guy?
Well, I don't know what's big.
How big you need a T-shirt?
I don't think I'm Oz big.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. Nobody is Oz big.
But I'm a big boy. I can hold my own.
Yeah?
You know.
What are you?
State, I got to be a big boy.
You a fan of our president coming from your home state there?
Pardon my French, but fuck him.
Okay. I don't want to get into a political discussion. I just thought it was an interesting question.
Oh, please, let's.
John's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting a ton of these, what are these, instant feedback things?
Yeah, from the chat room. What do you do for a living, Brian?
You know what? I sell a whole hell of a lot of potato chips.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's it. From one of the big potato chip companies, or?
Well, there's only really one big potato chip company in this country.
Okay, and that's who you sell for?
Hey, you know, I heard you were trash talking Fritos a couple weeks ago.
Was I? What was I saying?
You were saying something about them being junk food or something. I don't know.
Oh, well, come on. You can't tell me it's not junk food.
Hey,
it is.
Frito pays the mortgage, baby.
You're like, hey, it's friggin' health food as far as I'm concerned.
Damn straight.
It keeps you healthy.
Yep.
Fair enough. Send Daniela an email and I'll get you a shirt, Brian. Thanks, man.
Okay. Y'all take it easy.
All right, man. That's cool.
Bye.
There you go. Hey, John, we haven't had a drunk in the week in a while, so you encourage that. I think that's your fault.
Okay, I'll pin that up.
Okay, I think that's about all I have as far as questions for you, John, but I did have this message come through, which I think is one of the most important ones that you need to hear, and I know we did a little ass-kissing earlier, but this didn't come from us. It came from our listeners. And it's not even a question, it's just a statement written on a card that came right from our chat room from Daniela to you, and it says, John, thank you for what you're doing for homebrewing. And that's it.
Oh.
That's all they wanted to say.
Oh, that's very nice, yeah. I really honestly don't look at myself doing anything different from anybody else out there. You know, Denny and you know, all the other people on the forums and
Justin.
I guess, yeah. I mean, honestly, I really don't see myself as any different from any one of y'all.
Well, let me tell you what's different, since you don't. Okay.
They paid that picture for you.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of this you can get out of the 1 hour boil, and not to toot our own horn, but I spent some time during that interview because I wanted to know about John Palmer, because to me, it's interesting when people spend enough time to write a definitive book, I want to know what else it is that they do. And I want to know, do they make a living at that? And I want to know, how do you have the time to do that? And I did that with John. We spent a good 20 minutes or so trying to, I wanted to know where this book came from. So let me tell you, John, what's different about you and from what other people are doing. John has a day job, and he's got a family, and he's got a regular gig going on. And he realized that he was good at finding out about how to do things. And he was good at finding out the nuts and bolts about brewing, because he wanted to know himself. And so as he was looking for information, he realized that nobody had answered all of the questions that he has as a brewer. So he decided, I could answer these questions, because I'm good at finding out the answers, and I'm good at explaining them. And so he wrote this book. And by the way, he wrote it by spending, 2 hours a night, every single night for over a year or more if you count all the revisions he's done. And John, that's what's different. You didn't sit down and go, hey, I could make a fortune by selling how to brew. Because you know what? John hasn't made a fortune selling how to brew. But you sat down and you spent the time to do it anyway, and you shared what you're good at with the rest of us. And I just want to, and you don't have to agree with me. I just want you to know that that's what's different about what you do. It's the amount of time you spend sharing what you're good at with everybody else. So I thank you for that, man.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate that. My response will be, it's like, well, I just wrote about it sooner than everybody else.
Well, and that's true, but you know what? It wasn't as if you sat down and wrote a journal, which is just like babbling off the top of your head.
John, you did an awesome job about just laying it all out. And the thing I love about you is, hey, it's John. Hey, John. And John, can I hang out with you guys?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like John's, I'll tell you, let me tell you what John looks like right now. Like a friggin' tomato. Because, he's a very humble guy, and the more we say about what he's done, the more he's sitting there blushing and sort of shy.
Yeah.
I know John, and I know that's happening.
We just
So,
this is good beer. Can I hang out here for a while?
So there you go. We'll leave you alone with that, but, the listeners wanted to say thank you, and so do I.
That's real nice. That's real nice to hear.
I do the show every week, and I'll tell you what, I don't think I've learned half as much from our show as I have from your book. So that's my thanks to you, brother.
Well, Justin, I mean, I sit here and listen to your podcasts, on the way to work and stuff, and I'm learning stuff. I'm learning, granted, I know 90% of whatever the speaker's talking about because I've read and researched this stuff.
Yeah.
But there are shows all the time where someone will throw out that little golden tidbit.
It's a pearl.
Yeah.
Yeah, those little pearls.
And
it's
I
like,
feel
that ties something together.
I feel so much the same way.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on every word because you're going to get something out of it.
Can I just cut out this soundbite that says John Palmer learns things from our show? Can I just chop that out and and rerun it sort of for like a 24-hour period so that people understand that?
Sure. I learned some.
That's awesome.
I learned some.
Okay. Here, let me let you go, John. But before I do, I want to say a couple of questions came through tonight that you can find, and I'm going to promote two things because there's no need for us to spend time on it here. Some of the questions that came through you can find by buying How to Brew. And I don't want to go over them here, not to be a dick. I know we answer a lot of things, but occasionally you got to say, don't be lazy and go out and read something yourself. So a few questions, like one that came through in particular was, how much do you boil off in the kettle and different equations like that. Well, you know what? Pick up How to Brew. And I'm serious about that. I'm not just trying to sell books for John. I'm not getting any commission off of this. What I'm saying is, if I can go to a book like that and get something out of it, so can you. So I'm not going to bother asking John those questions because the man spent, a couple years of his life writing about it.
The book is so well-rounded.
Yeah.
And it
Check
will
it out.
answer almost every question you have.
So if you did ask me some of those questions and they didn't get asked tonight during the show, it's because you can find it in the book. The other ones that came through that John didn't put in the book were questions that I asked him in our interview, and you can find those during the 1 hour boil. In particular, a question came through, John. This one was fun for me because I was really thinking about switching what I do for fermenting, and it was asking you what you ferment in. And what you thought about glass or metal or plastic. And we talked about that in our interview, so you can find answers to those kind of things on the 1 hour boil.
That's in the 1 hour boil.
Old socks.
Yeah. Old socks, whatever you ferment in. So, I'm not going to answer them here because I think you guys could go out and find those answers, and I think that you're doing a service to the community if you do, purchase those products and do it. Daniela, did you have,
Where do you buy How to Brew?
Okay. John, you want to tell us the different places people can find How to Brew?
Well, I would say ask for it at your local homebrew shop. If they don't have it, they should. But if not, then you have either the AHA home website, beertown.org. There's a direct link there to buy it from them because they're the publishers this time.
Not Amazon?
Or you can go to Amazon.
You can get it there too, yeah.
You can get it there too now. Let's see where else. Oh yeah, or Barnes and Nobles for some of the big major chains, national chains. They carry it now.
Okay.
I tell you, it's a kick walking into Barnes and Nobles and seeing your book there. And then,
I was just saying, you're big now.
Yeah, that's got to be actually kind of freaky even.
Yeah, I walk by, it's like, there's 2 copies.
That's me.
There. Yeah.
Hey,
next
buy my
week
book.
There's only one.
You know what, John? You're lucky that you put that nice picture of the beer and stuff on the cover, because imagine it was your mug on the cover of that thing, and then
really.
you walked through Barnes & Noble and saw your ugly face looking back at you.
That's right. Yeah, we tried that the first time. Didn't go so well.
We didn't sell any books.
Or somebody's sitting there reading it, and you walk up to them and you go,
"Yeah,
you look puzzled. Can I answer a question?"
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Can I help you? That actually would be kind of fun if you ever happened to catch somebody reading your book, John, and you just wandered up and said, "Hey, can I help you?"
Then they tell me, well, this looks like the right thickness to raise my monitor up an inch or so. Yeah.
Now, I will say this, I hope you don't mind, John, because a lot of our folks like the free stuff, and I don't blame them. If you go to howtobrew.com, the first edition is on there for free. You have been generous enough that now you have the modified editions, which, by the way, answer a lot of different questions that came out of the first edition. You got to purchase that. But John's been nice enough to put, I think it's the entire first edition is on your website, right?
Right. It's the meat and potatoes is all online, and the Green Book, the second edition, added to it. The third edition adds a lot. I mean, I spent all of 2005 going over the content with Randy Mosher and Ray Daniels, and they're making suggestions, questions to answer. I mean, I really wouldn't have covered Decoction as well as I did in the third edition if Randy hadn't told me to. He said, "You got to cover Decoction."
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah. It's like, well, okay, Decoction. Let's see. And it's like, what, 2 pages in that chapter?
Yeah, it's short.
But I think I was happy with it after I was done.
As you should be.
I put some nuts and bolts in there, and so much of brewing is art. I mean, I do it one way, Doc does it another way. Justin tries. And
can we have that other soundbite?
Yeah. I love this guy. You're such an asshole.
Yeah. I can't wait to get you in the studio.
The first time I met him, he started doing this shit to me.
Some people just set
It takes
themselves up so well.
a whole new meaning to the 1 hour boil.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I got that little part in there. The lager section, people are saying, well, what, if I pitch high or pitch low or do this or that, what does it do to the beer? And so I really tried to address that in the lagering chapter with, what off flavors, diacetyl, acetaldehyde, fusels, esters, when do you get those and when don't you? Tried to, to put out some bullet points, as far as what to do and not to do or what to avoid.
Yeah.
So the third edition really is an improvement over the Green Book.
Well, if you consider the fact that 2 of the other premier authors in homebrew writing, Ray Daniels and Randy Mosher, were the guys egging you along and prodding you to add things, it's kind of an all-star cast.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the homebrew. It's the homebrew equivalent of that new movie that's out. That's got like who is it? It's like Jack Nicklaus and
Nicholson.
Nicholson. Not the golfer. Nicholson and Pitt and like this all-star cast of like the book is kind of the same. Yeah. If you consider those 3 guys in homebrewing, that's pretty awesome.
It is. It really is. People ask me to sign their books for them, and it's like, well, you want me to sign it? Well, why don't you get Ray? Ray's right over there.
Yeah, exactly.
No, actually, John, you signed my book.
Yeah, I remember that. The NHC there.
Yeah, the water.
Northern California. Yeah.
Very cool.
Signed it that Doc's the only other guy who gets water.
Yeah, well, that was, I did my water talk up there in Northern California. This was it, 2000?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And, it was like, have one guy come up and say, yeah, I understood all that, and, versus all the other people that are kind of snoozing or just...
there's so many glazed eyes.
Yeah. So that was very cool for me to have Doc come up and say, I understood it, and it was good, and it's like, wow, thank you.
And I got some pearls out of that one, too. Yeah. So it was good.
All right, enough going down on each other here at the end of the show.
Hey, he's not even in the studio.
Yeah, we're doing it over the phone. When are you coming up here, John? You got any business trips coming up here we can steal you for yet, or you don't know?
Well, like I say, January 19th, I'm coming up, but that's a Friday afternoon.
And you can stay till Sunday,
why don't you
right?
stay for a weekend and make a party out of it?
We'll see.
You want me to
run it by management there?
You want me to call your wife and ask if you can do it?
He's good at that.
Yeah.
I do it for Doc. Like
barely,
barely, but I try. It's always it's a good effort. All right, well,
we'll see. We'll see.
Love to have you in the studio.
I'll definitely work on getting up there.
How about if ever you're going to be in the studio or in the area, let us know.
Yeah,
I definitely will.
Okay.
I definitely will.
At the very least,
it'd be fun to be there.
Thanks for spending some time with us tonight, John. That's awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, check out howtobrew.com, and don't be afraid to send John Palmer thanks for hanging out with us for a couple hours here. So thanks, John. You're awesome, man.
Okay.
All right,
Talk
brother.
to you all later.
We'll see you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye. It's only an hour, right?
You're a liar.
I'm such a liar. I didn't mean
Suck people in like that.
No, I don't lie on purpose. I never mean it. I figured, look, Decoction it's a pretty concise thing, and after doing it, I'm like, okay, we can do this. So when I tell guests
you know
an
what?
hour,
I call BS on you. You did the same to Dr. Scott. Hey, Dr. Scott, you want to come and do the show with me tonight?
One show.
1.5 years later, the poor guy still sits here. You did the same with me. You want to help me out tonight?
You know what it is? It's because everybody has fun when they do the show, so I know that it doesn't matter. Like if I say an hour, they're like even Ray did it. Ray Daniels, when I spoke to him on the phone, when we had to do a pre-recorded interview because he couldn't make the show. And he's like, yeah, I don't have much time. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. By the middle of the interview, I'm trying to let him go, and he's going, don't worry about it, man. Whatever you got, let's do it. And then people end up having so much fun that so I know I never have to worry about it.
So many people, they get it and like, I can't do a 3-hour show. What can I talk about for 3 hours?
Yeah.
And they're in here and they're going, we're done.
Yeah.
No, let's go back on.
Yeah. All right, hey, I got to make a
just
quick
goes.
announcement. Bug Eater Doc gave us a
Boog.
6-pack of beer when we were at the GABF.
It's been booging you.
But I don't have it prepped for today's show, Bug. So I'm going to do
Again?
I'm going to do it next week. All right. I had it all written in the schedule, and then I got caught up doing stuff for the FM show. So my personal apologies to you, Bug Eater. Your beer is safe and well taken care of.
And we'd be much better if we do it early in the show next time.
Exactly. So I'm going to save it for next week, okay? And it's kind of special next week because next week's all mead. You'll be the only beer that we taste on the show.
What's the mead thing?
Next week. Yeah, next week's our mead show.
My friend came up from Santa Cruz this weekend. Adam, you met him?
And he gave you some mead?
He gave us some mead.
Oh, sweet.
That his ex-girlfriend left at his house. It was in the car by 5 years.
Is that the guy whose dog bit my roommate in the ass?
No.
That's the other
Brian.
guy? Oh.
That's a different guy.
Okay.
No, Adam was the other guy on the other side of the table.
Okay.
But he said this mead's awesome.
Okay.
It's been sitting there, and she knew how to make it, because I talked to her before.
Okay.
And she knows how to make it. I'll bring it.
All right. So, Boog Eater.
Wow.
Next week, and my personal apologies, because, hey, you know that we like your beer. Every time you've ever sent us beer, we've loved it. So we're not avoiding it by any means. I just don't have it prepped for today. So let us do it next week if that's okay with you. And Trans had sent us a mead a long time ago, a really special mead. It's something that he went out and purchased, and it's a rare mead. We're gonna take, and he doesn't believe me that he thinks we just don't want to drink it. We've been going over this for months
Justin
now.
is afraid of mead. I've never seen him drink mead.
No, this is not that. I knew that I did some research on this mead, and I know that it's a special and a good mead. I've been saving it for our mead show. So it's not me avoiding mead, Trans. We're going to do it next week, okay? So we'll drink that for the mead show. One of our other listeners who recently had a baby, congratulations. He gave us a mead when he came out here to meet us. I'll give you his name and all the details next week. We've been saving his mead. We're going to do that next week on the mead show. And we got a really good thing planned for you.
Mead.
Yeah. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hey, who are we talking to?
MedTech.
Hey, MedTech.
You always know that at the end of the show, if you get a call from MedTech,
he's hammered. He's fucking hammered.
He's hammered. What's happening, brother?
Not me.
No, not you. What's the word, man?
Oh, how you guys been?
I have visions of you just laying on the laundry room floor. Yeah, what have you been drinking tonight, MedTech? What have you been having tonight, man?
Oh, I had a couple English browns and some barley wine.
Oh.
And some barley wine.
Bad mix.
All homebrew?
Yep.
Your own barley wine?
Yeah, and it smells in here too.
How old is it?
The barley wine is actually about 1.5 years right now.
Oh yeah? And how's it taste?
It's freaking great. There's probably like bottles left, and I don't want to drink it all, but I can't help it.
Oh man, he's in one of those. I've been there where you're like, oh, this is all the stuff I want to save, but I'm half cocked and I'm having a great time, and I'm just gonna keep right on going. You got to give them to a friend. If you're a home brewer though, and you don't know what MedTech and I are talking about, then you've not been in the zone. Like,
yeah.
It's where you're enjoying it so much, and you're having, even if you're by yourself, and you're having such a good time, you're like, fuck it. Give me another one.
Yeah.
And then you wake up the next...
You hear that noise when it runs out? Oh boy.
Well, you wake up the next day, and you go, shit. I totally meant to save that.
Oh, Chad and I were just going to town.
Yeah. Shit. What do you want? You want a shirt, MedTech? I'll give you something.
I don't need nothing.
No?
Oh.
Oh, what a nice guy.
I'm good. You guys give me enough.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty soon he's going to need an air.
Part of the show.
He just knows it'll take a month for him to get it.
No, he's just a nice guy. MedTech has done that before, actually.
Okay. Now, you're a cool dude, MedTech. Where's like calls from you, even when you call in for late drunk of the week?
Late? Not that late.
Well, we already had our first one. So,
he didn't win.
Actually, he was
Come
first.
on.
Were you as hammered as him at the time he called in?
What do you think, Daniela? Who gets drunk of the week? This one or MedTech or Brian?
Dr. Scott.
Well, Brian was drunk earlier, so that's good. Gotta give him props for that. But Matt seems a little drunker. But I don't want to know in what stage Brian is currently. So he could be just as drunk.
Yeah.
I think both of them are right
up.
up.
Now it's really good.
See, I think Brian was drunk. He was like already into the whiskey.
But you know what I was overwhelmed the most today by? It's a BN number. One guy, one of our listeners, he's 6'2" tall. He weighs 330 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit. Who is that? What's his name?
Mr. Big.
Oh, just Mr. Big?
Mr. Big.
Aptly named.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So what would I look like?
That's awesome. I want to meet Mr. Big.
Me too.
You know what
really
I say?
Impressive.
I say good for you.
Yeah.
You're obviously enjoying life, and what the hell? Hey, at least if he were like 5'4" and 300 something pounds, then I'd be saying something different.
Yeah, but he's tall and
he's all right.
Isn't that Bub?
Yeah, Bub's 5'4", 300 pounds.
No, Bub claims that he's below 200 pounds now.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. Thanks for the call, brother.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
You too. Let me tell you, our listeners rock. You
Yes,
guys are
they
fun.
do.
You guys are a lot of fun. All right, next week's the Mead Show. Okay, so you guys got to tune in for that. You've been waiting for it for a long time.
Mead.
I've actually got guests lined up for it.
No way.
That
are they actually going to show up?
Well, they're confirmed.
Who?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. You never tell me
Well,
anything.
I'll tell you this.
You never tell me anything.
The folks from gotmead.com, which, by the way, is the premier mead site.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, so if you go to gotmead.com, the good folks from there, I've spoken to them quite a bit, actually, over the last few months about the mead show, and a couple of the people who work there are going to show up and talk to us about mead. And it looks like one of our local meaderies is going to do it as well. Well, I got lots of calls coming in now. Caller, you're on the air.
I don't see how Med could be, drunker than me. Because, I think I left drunk like 3 hours ago.
Is this Brian again?
Oh, yeah.
We figured you were hitting the whiskey, so that's good.
I'm hitting the whiskey hard.
Yeah, no, that's why I gave it to you, man. You're my vote.
So, Brian, did you make this whiskey?
Oh, of course not.
No.
No, I had a little infection problem, so I got no beer.
Oh.
So no beer equals whiskey.
Now, when you say infection problem, you're talking home brewing or like
a
little personal problem?
Yeah, I was wondering if you're not allowed to drink beer.
No. I had a beer infection problem.
Oh, okay.
I probably poured out 20 gallons of beer this morning.
Ooh.
What kind of whiskey you drinking?
Yeah.
Well, I started off with the Maker's Mark.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
And we finished that bottle, so we had to hit the Wellers.
Now, when you say we, who are we talking about?
Me and my wife.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Your wife likes the whiskey too?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's so smoking.
Let me tell you, that girl can put the whiskey away.
Really? I bet she could drink me under the table, man.
Oh, I'm pretty sure she can.
And you got to work tomorrow or what?
No, I'm off.
Ah, that a boy. So Sundays are a good time.
I think
for
you got to post a picture of the wife smacking back a shot,
throwing back the whiskey.
Yeah.
All right, Brent. I got other calls coming in too. Thanks, brother.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Bub, you pissed because we called you 5'4" and 300 pounds?
First of all, I'm not pissed.
Yeah,
I'm not pissed. First of all, Doc is shorter than me.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Only a little.
All right.
Only a little enough.
Yeah.
All right. When 5'8" is the measuring stick, a little is a lot.
Okay.
Second of all, never 300, dude. Come on.
What are you at right now? Come on.
I'm 195. I just broke 200.
And what's your actual height?
5'8".
Oh, come on. You're stretching a couple inches.
You're shorter than I am.
Well, fuck you. No, dude, seriously.
You can't tell me.
Bob,
5'8" in heels.
Bob, you couldn't get close enough to Danielle to actually measure head to head.
That's right. No, I'm like a half inch taller than Doc, who's 5'7", right?
Doc is not 5'7". He's shorter than I am too.
I'm 5'7".
Oh, that's 5'2".
And Bob's about right. I'm about a half inch shorter. We were like trying to stretch each other up, and he beat me.
All right. So at 5'8", what's your ideal weight? 5'7".
Well, technically, I should
140.
Be like 150 or something. Yeah, like something
Maximum.
stupid. But I would look silly at that.
Isn't anything over like 30 pounds overweight considered obese?
Yes, I'm considered obese by the government.
You know what?
Are you really?
Bob
Yes,
lives in the Midwest. It's okay.
He's bub-beast.
Seriously, if I was like 160, I would look stupid. I would look like you.
No, you wouldn't.
You just have to move to California.
Yeah. No, I mean, I should be like 180 probably.
Should be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you're not.
I'm not.
Well, let me get serious for a second. Now, we are making fun of Boo for being a big fat bastard, but I would never look at Bub and call him obese. Like, he doesn't look obese. It is an interesting thing that by law, or by whatever by law, there's not an obese law, but whatever the doctors say is obese, that Bub, they would say he's obese. That's ridiculous. Like, he doesn't look obese.
I guess it starts, they call it obese because it really starts threatening your health when you are 30 pounds above what you're supposed to.
My doctor isn't telling me to lose weight. So
he's not?
No.
Yeah, but you're in where are you at?
What's your doctor's weight, Boob?
Yeah, he's like, his doctor's 400 pounds. He doesn't tell me to lose any weight.
No, he's a scrawny little bitch. He runs marathons and stuff.
Really? And he doesn't tell you have to lose weight?
No, he's like,
my fat doctor told me I should lose weight. That's why I lost weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you tell him, shut up, fatty?
Yeah,
actually, I got, what?
My cholesterol's like 160, like well in the good range, so I'm all good.
You're not eating the cracklins?
Oh, no. Well, a little bit. I cheat every once in a while. That time of the month and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. You get that salt.
Caller, you're on the air. What's happening?
Hello?
Hello. Who are we talking to now?
MedTech.
What is this?
Oh.
Look we did such a great show with John Palmer, and then we got these buffoons calling in
You
with
edit
us.
this out.
I don't think so.
MedTech, are you now wanting to argue with Brian about who's drunk of the week?
Trying to contest with me.
Yeah. So you're
I never said I was drunk of the week.
No, Brian.
No, we just said you were fat.
It was Brian who said.
Fat.
The other Brian. I'm fat.
Oh, what a mess.
Okay, you're drunk and fat.
The fat of the week.
Drunk and fat?
This is like a game of telephone where you pass it and it gets worse every time. MedTech now thinks that we're calling him stupid, drunk, and fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go from there.
You want to contest your position as drunk of the week, MedTech?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you fat?
Am I fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's room for two here, because I would give MedTech happy drunk of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, he's just laughing about it. That's awesome.
I still think he's laying on the laundry room floor.
Could be. All right, MedTech, you're happy drunk of the week. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, brother.
He's like a week or something.
And what can Boob be? The shortest drunk of the week?
Boobs.
Fuck,
Not me.
dude, seriously.
Boob's the obese drunk of the week.
Man. Oh, yeah, like that narrows it down on this fucking show.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, Bub, when you coming out to the West Coast one more time?
I don't think he's allowed anymore.
Huh?
Well, the wife's popping one out here in a couple months.
Another one?
No, it's the same one.
Oh.
But,
the same one that says he's got a cock. You remember this one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that wasn't that long ago.
Oh, that was that one?
Not that long, but
I forget it takes 9 months.
You're going to need a rest after all that.
Yeah. Oh, God, I wish. I'm blowing all my vacation. We don't get paternity pay or whatever the fuck. Lazy man's pay. So I got to take my vacation to, make sure the wife doesn't split her crotch open. And,
cut this man off now.
You know, if you live in California, you get all that cool time off.
I wish.
Boob is not allowed on this phone for
Come
tonight
on,
anymore.
Boob's, it's not on the phone. It's on Skype.
All right,
he's
well, then it's
Skyping.
okay.
What do you mean? No, dude.
Come on, Bob. Come on down.
Look, just because he
how
says...
is this a bad thing, Daniela?
She
If you
thinks
haven't
that-
had a kid. You don't understand what happens down there.
Oh, and I don't want to be there ever.
Well, just because he says, you know, he's worried about his wife blowing her vagina open doesn't mean it's not true.
The doctor asked me if I wanted to sew it back up for him.
Oh.
Hey, you want to do that? Yeah, I can do
I
that.
gotta leave.
Yeah, I can do that.
Add an extra stitch or two. I'm tiny.
Yeah, no, it's called the father's knot. One extra stitch.
Hey, I got to drop you because I promised I'd get Oz on with his early
No,
decoction.
Oz will be on in a second. Just you hold on. We've missed this 2 weeks in a row, so I got to do this.
Okay.
The home improvement tip of the week.
Yeah.
There's going to be 2 or 3 of them. Number 1.
Okay.
Don't work with the heating ducts and that metal stuff when you're drunk.
Oh no!
That shit is sharp.
I've been in the hospital
Sheet
because
metal.
of that.
Okay.
Oh, that is not good.
No, it's
And-
like,
and
be careful of the sheet metal. Oh,
Okay.
a Band-Aid ain't gonna happen with that one.
And plumbing,
Yeah.
God bless plumbers, except for the motherfucker who did my sink.
Okay.
Because that shit is crazy.
Is this number 2?
That's number 2. I'll leave it with number 2, and I'll go on a rant later.
You give us number 3 if it's quick.
I don't know. I don't know what's number 3. The period. I
Don't piss on the electric fence or something.
I can't remember.
Or don't go in the attic.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But Bob,
Yeah,
Bob, I am
naked.
so
Oh, yeah.
with you with the sheet metal thing.
Oh, so bad.
Oh.
So bad. So many cuts.
Bad cuts, stitches,
Bad.
and hand surgeons. Don't go there.
You guys
All
are
right,
crying.
Oz is gonna-
you guys
Oz
are
is gonna
crying
pimp
like a
my
bunch
site,
of
too, by the
pussies.
Oz, don't forget to pimp my site.
All right, Bob.
All right, bye.
We'll see you.
All right, cool.
Am I allowed to announce this, Daniela?
Yeah, absolutely.
Danielle, Jesus. Danielle's mom is listening to the show.
Every week now.
Oh boy.
You know what's funny is Daniela's mom. Her name's Honey. Like it's actually her name.
Yeah.
It's Hani. Tell me that's not a porn name.
Well, our last name is Pearl, so it's Honey Pearl.
Oh my god.
But I'm saying, like, this isn't a joke. Like, this isn't a bit. That's actually her name.
Honey Pearl.
Yeah.
My mom is awesome.
Hallo, Honey.
Hallo Ronald. Großes Shoutout an euch beide.
There you go. Honey and Ronald. Let me tell you something. They're good people. If you ever needed to meet good people in Germany, they're them. They're a lot of fun and cool to hang out with.
And they like you.
Yeah. Well, which got to say something for how at least tolerant they are for other people, right? Oh man, I got to call Oz. Who's caller? You're on the air. Or not. All right, let me get Ozzy on the line here. He's got to do a quick rundown of his decoction mash technique. But you better do it quick because I got to go, Oz. So let's see. Yeah, let's see if we can get him here, and we'll wrap things up with just a real quick decoction rundown. Down under style. If he doesn't answer, forget it. I'm out of here. There we go. Ozzy.
He's probably out in the outback.
Hey, mate. How you going?
That's good.
There you are.
All right, give us give us a decoction Ozzy style. Go.
Decoction Aussie style. I've got it's about a 2.5 gallon pressure cooker. I whip out I've got a big strainer that I had in my shop. Strain about a third, maybe a little bit more, and get as much liquid out as possible without, you don't want to push down on it or anything like that. Just let it run out. And then, into the pressure cooker, bring it up to whatever the next rest is. So if we're going from a protein rest up to the sack rest, bring it up to whatever temperature you want to do there. Leave it for about 10 minutes. By that time, look, all the conversion's done, and I put the lid on the pressure cooker and just turn the heat back on. Let it sit there for about 5 minutes, boiling away. And at that stage, it's liquefied enough so it's not going to scorch. And with the lid on the pressure cooker as well, it reduces any problems of scorching down the bottom, that sort of stuff. Put it back into the mash tun and do it all again until I'm up to the temperature that I want. It's really that easy. A lot of people think that it's hard to do. Like I was saying before, you did 20 gallons, so you're sitting there stirring a whole heap of it.
Yeah.
And if you had man hands, you wouldn't have blisters. You need to go out and do it.
You know, I made Justin do almost the whole thing.
You would, Doc.
Yeah.
But it really is simple, and I don't believe some people in the chat room were saying that they can't tell, people can't tell the difference between the beer that's been decocted and beer that hasn't. But if you put two side by side, taste the difference, knowing which one is which, and then go and do a blind tasting of other ones, you will be able to taste the difference.
Okay.
And that's it.
I really think you're going to probably really tell the difference between the two. There's just a whole different way of getting from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more things going on when you're decocting than just heating it up. You're doing so many more things. Even on,
it's
the
all
southern
easy.
hemisphere.
Some people are saying, they wouldn't bother. Why go through all that extra hassle? It's so hard to do. I don't think it's hard to do at all.
It's really it's not that hard to do. It's really not that hard to do. And as you're saying, it's not that hard to do, but is it worth it?
It's not that hard to do.
And if your palate isn't such that you can really taste the difference, it's not worth it. Just do your infusion mash and make the good beer that you're already making.
It's not that hard to do.
But Justin wanted to make something just out there that we hadn't done before.
Yeah. It is the next step. It's once you shouldn't just jump into it. People need to, if you're beginning or you've done 10 or 15 brews or whatever, it's probably not the right time. But once you've got to a stage where you can't improve your beer anymore, I think, especially with German style beers, like like I was saying before, Pilsner's my favourite to do it with. But even a Hef, the difference in a Hef is amazing.
It really makes a difference in a Hef. It really does. And you think I don't want to caramelize it down because I want a 3 or 5 SRM. And it really, if you do it right, it's not going to caramelize it down to the point where it's going to make it dark. You won't make an amber Hef.
Does that mean you can't boil it for a long time though? Because that darkens it, right? Or is it it's grain dependent?
It's grain dependent.
So wheat grain isn't going to darken. Is that what you're saying?
It will a little bit. It's a different type of darkening though. It's a richer colour rather than a darker colour.
Okay.
And you don't need to do a triple decoction with a Hef.
Okay.
Oh no, you'd only do a single, probably a double at the most. I wouldn't do it. Not a triple.
But it really does make a difference. Just in the mouthfeel, and I said mouth. In a few different things. And feel. But it's just in the way the beer it just sits in the glass and it rolls in your mouth and off the tongue. How good it is as opposed to an infusion one. And it's just it's weird. It's the viscosity and the mouthfeel on a Hef, which is everything in a Hef.
The other thing with the boiling too, if you're not doing it in the pressure cooker, and it really does come from experience, I think some people sort of tout 15 minutes to half an hour boiling the grains. Once it's got to a certain stage and it's liquefied enough, there's no need to hold it there for half an hour, especially with a Hef where you don't want to get too rich a colour. Once it's liquefied, it started boiling, you'll kind of get a feel of when it's done. You can keep going and get it a little bit darker, but once you're not going to get any extra conversion.
Yeah.
Which is what you should be doing a decoction for, to get that extra conversion out of it.
Right.
Once it's done, it's done. The longer boil, I feel, will only give you a bit more richness in the colour.
Yeah, and you really don't want that with a Hef, but for something like a Dunkel or a Doppelbock like we did yesterday.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
which is one of the reasons why we did it.
Right.
So, and I wanted to see them stir till they got blisters,
which I did.
You need to put a 6-pack of that away for next June anyway.
All right,
we'll do that for the anniversary show. We could do that. Well, we made 20 gallons. Shit, I only need 15 of that.
We're gonna make an ice box out of one of them.
That's cool. Okay, Ozzy is going to post his method in the forum for us.
Cool. I'll do that, yeah.
So put that. Don't put it under beer radio. Put it in the proper spot there.
Yeah.
And so you guys, if you're used to just looking at the beer radio thread, you're going to have to go look at the MASH thread or whatever the hell it is, and look for Ozzy's simplified method. For the method that Doc and I used, as well as John Palmer's method, sorry, pick up How to Brew, because it's right there, and it's and he really a few questions came through about every single mash temp and what mash temp you should be at and what it's for. You know what? We'd have to go on for another hour. It's all in How to Brew. And, again, I'm not getting anything out of saying that. I really enjoy the book. And it's right there. It's there on like one page. And if it makes sense to me, you're golden, man. Okay? It means it's good.
Or ask me next week.
Or ask Doc. We'll answer, throughout, the shows. We're not afraid to tackle the question. But I'm just saying, if you want answers to all those what temperature and for what and what are we supposed to do, pick up How to Brew, folks, okay? It's all right there, and it's my new beer Bible. I'll tell you that. My first one was Charlie's, and I still love Charlie's, but my new one, the New Testament, so to speak, is John Palmer's.
Do you have my designing beers?
Yes, I do. You let me borrow it.
Can I have it back?
No. Damn. I'm not nearly done with it. Do you really need it?
Well, not now.
Okay.
But, like, Thursday I would have.
How about this? You let me know when you need your book, and I'll let you borrow it.
Okay. Question should be, Justin, do you need that book?
Yeah, I do need that book. Yeah. I think everybody knows that of everybody who listens and everybody who's on the show, I need that fucking book. Everybody. So, all right. So there you go. All right, Ozzy. So post that in the forum for us.
I will, mate. Might even be some photos there. I might do a decoction next week and put some photos up.
Okay. Flew for to you.
Flew for back.
All right, brother. We'll see you later.
Little Ozzy bald head going.
There's Ozzy. All right. Get the hell out of here or what?
Yes, please.
Don't turn me off.
I had to. You were answering the phone.
Second of all, don't forget that there's a Jamil show tomorrow.
Oh, I never forget that there's a Jamil show tomorrow. Jamil would never let me do that. There is a Jamil show tomorrow, and he's discussing spice beers.
Spice beers?
Did we figure out why Jamil didn't make it to October?
You're going to have to take that up with the Pope himself, because he knew all about it. I'm pretty sure he had been doing a run of beer-related events and away from the family, like a lot of judging. We did the week-long trip to GABF. We did all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that it was family time, and you can understand that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what was happening, although I don't mind if you take it up with Jamil, preferably on the air. I think that would be fun. But in Jamil's defense, with him not being present, he had been doing, you know how it goes at the end of sort of festival season and competition season. That man had been spending so much time on beer that I think he just wanted some time home with the kids. And Oktoberfest, as glorious as it was, he probably couldn't convince his wife that it was necessary.
On that note, I just want to thank everybody for a glorious Oktoberfest last week.
Did you have a good time?
Fuck yeah.
Good.
They just smoked.
And a lot of people showed up for you. So
it was just awesome.
I think you got a lot of love out of it.
Well, I could have got a little less of,
Roger's ass?
Roger's ass, yes. But it was all good.
Well, and at least he brought you good beer.
And he did.
To compensate for that.
Yes, he did.
As did Sven.
And I want to mention that I had Justin on my banjo yesterday.
Yeah, I played the banjo for the first time.
And he was doing good, and I thought I would have to pry that thing out of his cold, dead hands.
The banjo's a lot of fun. I never thought I would like it, but I picked it up for the first time yesterday, and
he was just going to town.
I got a caller. I'm afraid to even answer.
No, he said,
well.
Caller, you're on the air. Who are we talking to?
Mantech. I just wanted to thank Doc for all the hard work he's done.
Oh, that's cool,
Hey,
man.
Thank you.
All right, that's a good call
all.
to take. Half the rest of us, but thanks to Doc. Hey, I'm with you on that, MedTech. Absolutely, that's a great call, and it's true because Doc spends a lot of time away from his family too. All right, hey, thanks, MedTech.
Thank you. Good night.
See you.
As drunk as he is, he could call in to thank me. That's so awesome.
Yeah. I just want to make sure Doc thanks to Doc.
No, it's like thanks,
enough of
Doc.
ass eating. Let's get off the air. Good night.
I'm still reading through questions that I got in front of me here too. Oh, here we go. No, this is good.
All right, fine. Who's answering this one?
No, it's not a question.
Okay, good.
Congratulations to Crotch Rot, who, longtime listener, everybody knows that, and helper of the Brewing Network.
Yeah.
Crotch Rot passed his state licensing exam, which means he's now a official registered nurse in Florida.
Nice.
So I know he's been going to school for that for a long time, for most of the time that we've been doing the show, and he now passed his state licensing exam, which would explain why we've not seen too much of him around here.
Yeah, he kind of looks laying low.
Yeah.
Trying to get through this thing, probably.
So congratulations to the Crotch.
Dude, awesome.
Good work, man. Moving on up, taking care of the family, taking care of business. I like to see it. Good for you. And congratulations. All right, kids. It's been a lot of fun. You can't go wrong with John Palmer on a show and
never
and Doc half smashed. Although today was like a reverse show because usually it goes sober to drunk. Doc did the opposite today.
Yeah, I did.
He went drunk to sober.
Yes, I'm much better now.
Well, it's good. You got to mix things up in radio.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Night, everybody.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks to John Palmer. Go to howtobrew.com. Thanks to Beer, Beer, and More Beer for sponsoring the Brewing Network's Conical Christmas, as well as HCA Industries. It's HCAIND.com. And, of course, morebeer.com. Check them both out as we're going to be giving away how many, Doc?
2. Count them. 2 conicals.
That's right. 2 conical fermenters for
Do we
you
have a
folks
song?
to enjoy.
Conical Christmas?
I'll probably ask Push and Sven to write us one.
Conical Christmas. Yeah.
What, Daniela? Something else? or-
Medtech just passed his National Firefighter Test.
Yeah.
While he was drunk?
Congratulations.
That's probably why he's drunk.
Congrats to Medtech.
Congratulations to everybody who did something awesome last week.
Or this week.
Or this week, or next week, or whenever.
All right, thanks, folks. Stay tuned to the Brewing Network and join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the Jameel Show, where we'll be discussing spice beers. And next week, it's the Mead Show. Check out the Brewing Network store for all sorts of great merchandise, as well as the 1 Hour Boil featuring John Palmer. Or you can go to that other website that has the Doctoberfest T-shirts. I don't even have it in front of me anymore.
But you all want one.
28609.spreadshirt.com, but I'll post it in the forum, so it's easy to find. You can get your own Doctoberfest shirts. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Give me a wheat beer on a hot summer day. A bark will do me when the skies are gray. I'll take a Belgian brew anytime, and the women think the lamb is fine. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real home brew. Home brew, don't you really love it that a home brew? Can't get enough of it. Home brew, it blows my mind. I love home brew all of the time. Yeah, I think I'll have me, well, I'm the one right now. Cherry stout, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real home brew. Home brew, don't you really love it, that home brew? Can't get enough of it. Home brew, it blows my mind.